Patriots are out at practice again yesterday with their third and final preseason game coming up on the road against the Washington Commanders on Sunday night. They were without starting left tackle Verdarian Lowe, who left practice early Wednesday, and rookie Caden Wallace appeared to be his top fill-in. The Boston Globe is reporting, fortunately, Lowe has a minor oblique injury. It's not expected to be a long-term thing. On offense, Demario Douglas is just worried about today.
Yeah, I'm focused on day by day. I am looking for week one, though. But I'm focused, like, I'm where my feet at, but we're going to take it day by day, week by week. So I'm definitely where my feet at.
Also, offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt told the media Jacoby Brissett remains the starting quarterback at this point. Getting back to the Commanders, they made a pair of trades yesterday, including one involving a wide receiver. They sent former first-round draft pick Jahan Dotson and a fifth-round pick next year to Philadelphia for a third-round selection and a pair in the seventh round. Kansas City has made Creed Humphrey the top-paid center in the NFL. Yesterday, they signed him to a 4-year, $72 million contract extension. The Red Sox had last night off. They're still 3.5 games out of a playoff spot. They open up a 3-game series against one of the best teams in baseball since the All-Star break, the Arizona Diamondbacks at Fenway Park. Brian Bayo will start, and Seattle just finished a 1-8 road trip. Yesterday, they fired manager Scott Service. Special assistant Dan Wilson is his replacement. Sports Hub headlines are powered by the commuter rail. Headed to Gillette for a game this season? Get there without the traffic torment, and just take the train from Boston or Providence to Foxborough for $10 round trip. Get tickets with the M-Ticket app. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
This is Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown turns the corner. Finger roll is up and good. Score in the foul.
Listen to home of the Boston Celtics, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
It's called rising and grinding.
Start your
Got your finger on the pulse, Fred. Seldom right and never wrong.
right here. Oh. Is that Dutcher or is that Hardy?
Kinda looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. Hello. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Super him up with a football.
98.5. The Hub.
Bruins are back from the West Coast. Coast.
Cocaine and hookers. Yes. Na.
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah. Welcome to the show, you sweet bitch. Get your like a sweet bitch.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Toucher and Hardy, Town Fair Tire Studios. We are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 617-779-0985.
Yeah, let's get them loaded up early and often, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to probably want to wait for the first take before you get in here. Take to the S takes. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. And if you were now listening to us on our stream, you couldn't listen to us yesterday. Just know that thing was fixed at 10:20.
It's remarkable.
It's remarkable.
Yep.
It's odd that when people get to work, the things get fixed.
Morning show's supposed to be pretty important. To any radio station, but to a sports radio station, it's supposed to be pretty important.
It's very important to a sports radio station, but it's the only live shows that they have on any other stations. So you would assume, and this was not local, this was corporate. You would assume that that there would be, that would be sort of a priority, but it's not. So I apologize for that. Every time I see the engineers now, I think they're cold shouldering me a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Now, they don't like some of the commentary.
Oh, they've told you?
Yeah.
Oh, who told you that?
Not that they were necessarily angry with you, but I think whenever somebody says something about engineering or someone not doing their job, I think I think Dennis takes it personally. I think it hurts his feelings, and they're all. I think everyone's doing their best. As sometimes stuff breaks. It's not a perfect world, Fred. Screws fall out, sir. It's
So
not a perfect
Dennis
world.
takes it personally if something's broken and I say that it's broken.
Yeah, you gotta. It's your tone, Fred.
Oh, very good. I thought about it yesterday. This is true. I thought about it yesterday. I'm like, oh yeah, those guys don't like me. And then I went, I don't care.
Well,
I went, who cares? That's what I thought.
if you walk,
I don't need everyone to like me.
if you walked around caring all the time about people that don't like you, oof, that's gonna take up a lot of your day.
Well, most people are able to hide it better. You know what I'm saying? Like most people are able to people I don't like. I'm able to when I see them hey, I'd have to really, really not like them not to talk to them.
But you have the benefit of resting bitch face, so that
yeah, I do. I don't have any lips, so
that you just walk around with a perpetual scowl.
Yeah, I have no lips, so that's what's going on for me. I have to really. I can't. When you don't have lips, it's very difficult to smile, because even when I smile, look, it's it looks weird.
More of a grimace.
Isaac, who's on line one? Isaac.
This is
It's
Isaac's
last day. I drove
yeah.
him up.
Yeah.
It's our intern Isaac's last day. I drove him up.
Well, that was nice of you.
He
Well,
couldn't get in.
Oh, I thought there was an occasion. No, he just couldn't get in.
No.
Oh,
He
okay.
couldn't get in, but I park on the third floor. Isaac, I need the information into the computer, buddy. Now, do you think Isaac's not going to like me?
I think Isaac loves you. I think Isaac is a big fan of Fred Touch.
Well, why wouldn't he be?
Yeah. Right? Isaac, thumbs up. Big fan of Fred? Yep. Oh, 2 thumbs up from Isaac that time.
Sometimes there can be an uneasy mentor-mentee relationship. He probably has as much healthy respect and fear for you as he does like.
Well, let's see. Let's go through everyone at the station and see if they like me. Rick does not like me.
Rick does not like you.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Cadillac likes me.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Rick was a big fan of your impression of him, if I remember correctly.
No, he was not. I'm not positive Mary likes me very much, but I don't think I stand on. I think it goes Zolak, and then I don't know how far down the ladder I am. From
Well, we're
Zolak.
all distant second to Zoe.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I don't
that's,
think that I'm. I don't know if Mary likes you guys any more than she likes me.
Probably not.
I don't know.
Because you got to think of different ways you can like someone. Like you can like someone's personally.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you can like them, but then you can also value them for what they do for the company. And I would have to think that I'm a little valued for what I do to the company if anyone cares.
No.
So
She probably likes you as an asset.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I don't need everyone to like me personally, but it likes me as an asset.
Yeah, but
see, I think Rick just doesn't like me, and I think that, and I like Rick, which is funny. I don't think Rick likes me, and I think that, and I know that the engineers don't like me. And
That's probably true. Yeah.
but I get along with everyone on the air.
What about Jim Louth?
Jim Louth cannot dislike me.
I don't know that Jim Louth is capable of human emotions as we all understand them. He really, really likes sports, and everything else is a distant second. So Mary is to Zolak.
That's perfect.
What Jim Louth is to
said
sports.
it any better. That's absolutely right.
I've never, if Jim doesn't like me, I don't know what to tell you. I've never, ever had a even remotely controversial moment with him.
So
I've yelled at Rick, and Rick has gotten mad at me because it's like he's the program director and I'm an on-air talent.
Yeah.
And, but it gets squashed after that. So I could see, and I tease him on the air, so I could see that bugging him.
I worked closely with Jim Louth for years. He was the producer of the Midday Show, and he has been an outstanding assistant program director here for years now. And I have as close a relationship with Jim as anybody outside of Beetle and Zoe. And I cannot tell you what he thinks of me. I have no idea.
There's no way he dislikes you.
But I don't know. But that's my point, Fred. Like and dislike doesn't enter into it with Jim when it comes to human people.
Right. Well, okay, fine. Then he doesn't dislike you because there's no way that Jim can have a negative impression of me based on any of our interpersonal connection.
Yeah.
I've never said anything bad about him behind his back. I've never, like literally never in all this time, I've never said one negative thing about Jim, and I've never had a negative interaction with him. So it would be based entirely that he doesn't like what I say on the air, which is I don't think he's is simple enough to go, oh, well, I'm just going to go like I don't like what he says on the air, so I'm going to just walk around like not liking the guy. I mean, he works in radio. Mm-hmm. I mean, he knows that something's a performance. I mean, it's based in truth, but it's a performance. I mean, I don't walk around talking for 4 hours at a clip. You know that, Hardy. You're a big fan of mine. Bob, go ahead.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Hey.
You know, I'm not an old man. I'm not a doomsday prepper, but I cannot understand. I was checking out the YouTube chat yesterday. How many people don't own radios anymore?
Yeah, I would own a radio. I'm with you. So you're saying you're not a doomsday prepper, but if something went down, and this could be something.
It's nice to have a boombox with a CD player and a radio that takes C batteries. That once a year, if you have a power outage, you have a radio for a day. That's all.
That's absolutely true. And your dad's. And how much is a radio? Like I was going to take one to rehab in 2020, so I bought like a little transistor. They didn't let me bring it in, but this little transistor might have cost me $25. Like maybe $20, maybe $15. Like I have radios in the house, and this is you don't have to think like a nuclear bomb's going off or there's going to be a government coup. Like this is, if there's a hurricane or the power goes out for any length of time, if there's a weather issue and you don't get power, I mean, yeah, it's good to have a radio. You should have a radio.
And I, Fred, if you really wanted that radio and it was a small transistor radio, I question how hard you tried to smuggle it in. There are ways, and I think you could have accomplished it.
Okay, so we'll do this. You've just led me into the story. So I read, you were talking about keystering, and so I read this book called.
Is that the preferred nomenclature?
Yes, keystering. So. This guy, Brandon Novak, you might remember him from like Jackass and People of Bam and stuff. Big heroin addict. He's been clean now for like 7 years. He wrote a book a few years ago called Dream Seller that I read. And then after I read it, he had a great appearance with Bam on Howard Stern. The worst part of it is he did something for money to one of the guys on the show. Not Sal, the drummer guy, Richard. He did something to him, but he tells his story that he would keister drugs all the time, right? And then Bam started going like, I'll give you like $200 if you put that rock in there. And so he just started like doing stuff. So he goes to, I've told you the story already, but he goes to the doctor and because he's having all these problems and his girlfriend takes him. And he goes in the doctor's office, and the doctor's like, goes to him and his girlfriend, like, you're going to have to stop having so much sex. And they're like, why? And they're like, well, because of your condition. You know, what's going on back there? And he's like, I'm not gay. And he's like, yeah, you're going to have to stop having sex. And he's like, I'm not gay. And he's like, no. I don't think you understand. Like, you obviously are. And so he had put so much stuff up there that the guy assumed that he was having a tremendous amount of gay sex.
Yeah.
So there you go. I don't get it. Manny, go ahead.
Well, nice and early, guys. I just want to congratulate you guys on making EEI shake it up a little bit. I was reading the article. They talked about you guys, how they're chasing you guys for years and years and years. And, yeah, they shaked it up all right, the midday and afternoon show.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. I don't know what thank you. They shook it up. They shook it up. No question about it. They shook up the whole thing. All right. He said congratulations on the ratings. I wanted to see if he knew something we didn't know.
Still waiting on our
because Rick's been laying. That's why I took that, because Rick's been laying low.
Yep.
I didn't bother him.
Yeah, Wallach's being a bit of a pest. The man's on vacation, Wallach.
I like that Wallach did that.
Yep.
Do you think Rick likes you, Wallach?
I think he does. Yes.
Yeah. I think he likes everyone on here but me. Does Felger get along with all these people?
That would require Felger having interpersonal relationships. Does that happen?
Yeah, so that's a huge component in it. Excellent, John. But also viewed as an asset, yeah, I'm sure they like him in, maybe above all others in terms of, the asset likability. Personally, it's not really part of the conversation when you're talking about your relationship with Felger for a lot of people.
Yeah, Felger goes out once a year with the show. That's usually during the Super Bowl where they drink, right? There's that one day. But the rest of the year, does he hang out with anybody on the show?
I don't know. I mean, he and Murray probably hung out in Nantucket. They did the show from Nantucket a couple of weeks ago. They probably had a little hang.
That's a bold statement.
You think Murray spent some time at the Felger estate out on Nantucket?
No, I think that because Maz couldn't make it. Maz was already gone that week, and I was talking to Maz. I'm like, how did that all go down? I said, did Murray stay with Felger? He said, no, I think they put him up somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
No, but I think he has before. I think Murray maybe stayed at Felger's once.
Huh.
Oh, I would not like that.
I don't like staying in other people's homes. Period.
No, and especially someone I don't like. Yeah, like I don't know about that.
And for the record, I don't like people staying in my home. Just so you know, just putting that out there as a general statement. But
when your mother comes into town, she stays at your home.
If you're thinking, he's not talking about me. No, I am. That you too.
All right,
Mom.
All right, so there you go.
All right,
everyone, listen. Not all of us can fly at all up. All right, what do you got going, fellas? What's going on? Harvey?
Well, we had Alex Van Pelt speaking yesterday from Patriots training camp. We had football last night, and round 2 of a certain big tournament. Not round 2. Round 1 was yesterday. Stage 2 of a certain big playoff series going on.
Oh, boy.
Don't you Jesus me, and don't you take the Lord's name. Clean it up.
Oh,
with your keystering and your Jesus.
The keystering thing, I think, is just a cautionary tale more than anything else about the pitfalls of heroin addiction. All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, it's Ryan from 120, and one of the things that keeps our customers coming back is our hassle-free guarantee.
Dutcher and Hardy. Hardy, what's going down?
All right, we'll start with what happened yesterday with Alex Van Pelt speaking at Patriots training camp. What's going on with the quarterback? That's what we're all asking. That's what we always talk about. Is it Jacoby still? Is it Drake May? Drake May looked pretty good in game number 2. You got game 3 coming up Sunday. What, Alex, give us something.
Jacoby, right now he's our starting quarterback. So, the good news is this week we'll get to play everybody. We're still in the evaluation process. We have one more preseason game, and our guys are going to play, so we'll have another chance to evaluate.
Okay, so Jacoby is the starter. Right now we're still evaluating. We got one more preseason game. So Jacoby Brissett is our starter. Now, for Sunday night, for going forward, well, he went on.
Coach said it's open competition. Obviously, we have one more game to go. I'm sure there's a chance. But I think as you go in, there's still a process of how you bring a rookie quarterback along. So I think that's important to remember as well.
Yeah, so he's not going to play.
No,
he's not going to start.
It's going to be. Now, Wallach, you were talking about the reps that Drake May got yesterday.
Oh, the writers on location wet themselves because he got twice as many reps with the starting offensive line, which means 6, maybe 7. He's not ready. If he was ready, they'd put him in there more. He's not ready yet.
Well,
There's no need to rush this kid.
He might be as ready as, and in terms of, playing the position, doing everything else that Jacoby Brissett is, but he is a long-term investment. So
yes,
the readiness of the player, I don't think is as relevant to this as is the rest of the team ready? Is the offensive line ready?
That's the biggest
Is it necessary to play him at the start of the season? No, because you know what this team is, and they're. You want to talk about a conversation that goes on way too long. I won't even get into the stuff he's talking about with the offensive line because it just makes your head swim. They're still changing positions on the offensive line.
I think, the big story, if you can call it that, over the last couple of days is that Vidarian Lowe hurt himself, had to leave practice, wasn't in practice yesterday. I think that's a good thing for this team because it will force them to play one of their rookies. Caden Wallace, flip him over to left tackle. Let's see if he can do it. I mean, there's nothing more important than developing your rookies and finding guys like the Red Sox did this year who can play for you. Put Caden Wallace at left tackle.
Right.
See if he can play the position. That's what you drafted him for. You didn't draft him to be right tackle. You got plenty of those. Maybe the rookie can do it, but you're not going to find out unless you don't play low.
Maybe they should have drafted a left tackle. I don't know. It's just...
Well, they drafted Drake May.
Yeah, there are. I'm not saying that they should have used that position necessarily for the third overall pick on a left tackle, but that was kind of the head scratcher when the first offensive lineman that they took. All right, maybe there were no good left tackles left, but now here we are getting ready to go into the last preseason game, and you still don't have like an actual certifiable left tackle on your offensive line.
If you want to get into mistakes with picks, Tyquan Thornton, they were talking up after practice, and that's obviously they're getting rid of him. And you think that when they took him, and remember when they took Tyquan Thornton, we were like, who the hell's Tyquan Thornton? And then Pickens went right after him. And we started looking at like all the receivers that went immediately after Tyquan Thornton.
It wasn't even that. I mean, you took a look. Oh, this kid can run like a deer. Great. He's 6'4", 170. You can break him in half over your knee. How durable is that guy going to be?
Well, that was part of the thing is that it compounds it. Not only was it a risky pick, also there was a run on receivers right after, almost like teams were sitting around going, oh, Jesus, they're going to take Pickens. I mean, Pickens went to Alabama, or where did he go? Georgia, Alabama? Pickens went to a big school. So it's just interesting to me that they were like, that there was this big run on quarterbacks or receivers after it was taken, like teams couldn't believe it. So, they took a receiver in the second round. I mean,
Georgia.
So, like, I don't know. I don't have a problem with how they drafted last year. I mean, if people like that Polk kid, then that's very good.
That's the thing. In the second round, at the top of the second round, it came down to taking a wide receiver or taking a left tackle. Because they were both there at the time. But because this team doesn't have any receivers, they took the wide receiver.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
that's the state of the roster.
That's the state of the roster, and it's going to take a couple good drafts to even begin to like restock.
I mean, that's the biggest point out of all of this. Don't worry about whether or not this team is trying to win. Worry about finding guys that can play for you in 2 or 3 years that you can lean on.
Yeah, Joe had like a gambling guy on yesterday, and he's like, the win total for the Patriots, and he said, look, the Patriots are by far the worst team in the AFC East. I mean, they are. And he said they're probably the worst team in the AFC. And if you look at their schedule, I mean, there's no way they win 4 of the first 5 games. Maybe Seattle at home, Seattle going across the country. But they're
Playing
at the
at
Bengals.
one. Yeah, playing at
one.
Yeah.
But they're at the Bengals week 1. There's no way they win that game.
Nope.
I don't think there's any way they beat the Jets, even if Rodgers is hurt.
And for you to say that, that's impressive because you had already said at some point this summer that the Patriots are going to split with the Jets.
I do think they could split with the Jets. I don't think they're going to split in week 4. And then there's no way that the Patriots beat the 49ers in San Francisco.
Oh, hell no. I mean,
so,
this team is a 3 or 4 win team this year.
Right. And then what's good about that is there's a mock draft up on ESPN right now where it has the Patriots with the worst record in football picking number 1 and making a trade with the Giants where they get to move down. And that would be nice because Carson Beck is what people think right now.
We talked about this. I would think it was off the air, but we talked about this. That is the best case scenario. You get a top 2 or 3 pick, and there are always quarterback hungry teams, and they'll ship a boatload of picks to move up from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You drop down, you get an extra first round pick, you get a bunch of 2s, whatever the case may be. That's exactly what you want. You draft as many high players as you can in the top 100, and hopefully a bunch of them pan out, and that's your core moving forward.
And I'll ask you, it's not. I'm not going to lead you. Do you guys think that certainly justifies the Drake May pick? Because by virtue of taking Drake May with the 3rd pick, you were able to take your first overall pick and turn it into numerous good picks.
I've always liked taking a quarterback where they took him, and Drake May was the next guy. I'm never going to say taking Drake May was a bad thing. I like that pick there. Obviously, the kid seems like he can do it. He's athletically gifted. If they bring him along right and don't ruin him behind a bad offensive line, I have no problem with that whatsoever.
I have no problem with them taking Drake May at 3rd overall. I don't want to, get ourselves into, and no one is saying this, but to think you can't fill out the roster in ways other than the draft. It is certainly the best way, long-term, salary cap, all that stuff at building and sustaining success over the course of 4 or 5 years and re-signing some of those guys, but. You took Drake May at 3rd overall. What else do you have right now? What's the other bright spots on this team? There's a couple on defense maybe, but otherwise they haven't done a good enough job at filling out the roster in ways other than the draft. And the only thing you can really give them in the draft right now is the fact that they did the right thing at number 3 overall, and any shortcomings that they have right now in the rest of the team weren't addressed via trade or free agency or anything else.
You have to hope that a couple of these guys that they drafted, like Caden Wallace, you're just talking about him, maybe he can flip to the left side. You find yourself a left tackle in the 3rd round. Fantastic. Great. That's what other teams do.
Yeah, and also I wouldn't go start giving 30-year-old tackles. First of all, there were no tackles in free agency that weren't old.
Are there ever? I mean, teams tend to not want to part with those
and that's
guys.
the thing. Is so I don't even know who they could have. I mean,
sign Bakhtiari. Why? Why would you sign that guy after 17 knee surgeries in his mid-30s? Why would you sign that guy?
And then the Hall of Fame guy that the Jets got. Smith, but he is old and hurt, and he's not going to play every game. Like, he's a player that belongs in a win now team. He's not a player that belongs on a draft and develop.
Got to adjust your expectations. They're not necessarily trying to win games here. This is a different mandate than it's been the last 25 years. This is something that is going to take a while. It's going to be bad to watch, a lot like it was last year. Going to be bad to watch, but you have to hope in the next 2 years this team takes steps forward, and May is the quarterback you hope he is.
Yeah, and again, I will reiterate that I am an expert, and Hardy is really too, at following bad teams. First of all, don't try to change your allegiance because it can't happen. I've tried many, many times.
I tried in the early '90s. That didn't happen.
Yeah,
either.
it's almost strange, how it's in your. It's something like evolutionary, like this loyalty.
Especially in football.
Yes, especially in football because the season's short. That's why, because there's so few games. Like baseball, it's like the Cardinals. Like it's easy for me to just go I mean, I'll root for them again next year, but I'm over them after the way they performed after the All-Star break. But football, it's difficult. What you're rooting for is an evolution of the team. You're rooting for Mayo to prove himself as a coach, to improve as a coach. Hopefully they play May at some point in the season. You look for development for him. You look development for the young players. You look at the team getting better as the year goes on, because just like I'll compare sports. Remember when Dave Lewis got fired? They hired Claude, and the Bruins made the playoffs, and they took Montreal in the first round to 7 games.
Yep.
You knew even when they lost that series that, all right, this team is building to something. So there is they play Bills-Chargers. They play the Bills twice. Weird. They have the Chargers sandwiched between 2 Bills games at the end of the season. If they win one of those games at the end of the season, and you would think maybe not the Chargers, but certainly the Bills are vying for a playoff spot. That's the kind of thing you go, all right, well, they finished hot. They're building towards something.
Yep. And actually, the comparison is good. Parcells' first year, they couldn't get out of their own way, but they had a good end of the season. And you're like, okay, this is something different. This is a change. So that's exactly what happened. Parcells' first year. And I forget, they were 1-11 and they finished 5-11 or something like that. I'd have to go look. But you saw at the end, the last month of the season, you saw something different. That's a very good comparison.
Yeah, if you're a big enough football fan and you like the Patriots enough, you can ride this out. You can ride this out because it shouldn't. I heard Bart talking about it. It shouldn't take long. I mean, if you hit this draft and you hit the next draft, I mean. You should be a competitive team.
This is where
soon.
Our age and the team that I grew up following and still root for, it's a completely different experience. Not for kids, not for you kids don't know. If you're 35 years old, by right around the time you started caring about sports, the Patriots won the Super Bowl and pretty much did nothing but win for your entire life. And now you're at a point like, what do I do? For me, it's like, oh, no, I was the complete opposite. They've never done anything but lose. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't literally until last year where they actually showed themselves to be a competent football team for the first time in my life. So it's a much different experience. And I agree with you, Fred. You can get through this. It's a different way of being a fan, and it'll test you, and you're going to have way different emotions that you have before. But I also don't blame people for not being able to handle it right away, because if you're 30, even 40 years old, you've never had to deal with this before. Not as a Patriots fan.
Yeah, but I think it's better this year than it was last year, because last year it was Belichick, and it was just you were stagnant and had no young talent, and it was so effing. I can assure you this season's not going to be as boring as last season. That I can assure you. Last season's football team is one, if not the most boring football team. If you watched that last Week 17 game against the Jets and you don't work in a field where you had to talk about the game, you are a diehard.
That
man.
wasn't the only one. Remember the one against the Chargers in the driving rain with temperature in the mid-30s? No, was it 9-0?
At least the Chargers
like that.
At least the Chargers, had Herbert. I mean, that Jets game was for nothing.
How about the Colts game overseas?
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
That's what got Belichick. Allegedly got Belichick fired. And I say allegedly because I don't want the Crafts to sue me. Okay, kids.
Careful.
Litigious, baby.
Careful.
All right, so we'll be back in just a moment. And I hope Hardy doesn't make us indulge him for too long.
No, it won't be. We have more football to cover anyway. We had 2 games last night.
I think he's got something in the clip. Plus, Jaylen Brown has released a rap song, which I want to discuss at 7. When Bert Breer is here, because I don't want to wait too long to discuss it. Mm-hmm. Leroy from down the hall came in. He said, but Mike
he was
already
beside
on
himself. He was beside himself, and Mike's like, I know, we got it.
I want to hear it for the first time on air. I don't want to listen to it beforehand. There's a video for it, but we'll be back in just a moment.
Sports Hub headlines.
Patriots are out at practice yesterday with their final exhibition game coming up Sunday night against the Washington Commanders. The big story, starting left tackle Vidarian Lowe not there. However, the Boston Globe reports he has an oblique problem that is not expected to be a long-term thing. Kansas City assigned two-time Pro Bowl center Creed Humphrey to a 4-year, $72 million contract extension. He is the top-paid center in the NFL. Red Sox had last night off. They're 3.5 games out of a playoff spot. They will host the Arizona Diamondbacks at Fenway Park tonight. And Aaron Judge did it again last night. He hit home run number 48. Yankees beat Cleveland 6-0. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by IBEW Local 103 and the Nika Electrical Contractors. For over 50 years, they've been powering TD Garden and making sure it stays lit, safe, and ready for every game. Learn more at thepowerprofessionals.org. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
You're listening to...
Old Faith No More before Mike Petta. We are Dutcher and Hardy. Hardy, what's going on? By the way, we're brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Go ahead.
Couple of football games last night. Preseason action, Colts over the Bengals 27-14. Bears were in Kansas City to play the Chiefs, where Mason Steele was doing his thing.
First and goal at the 1. To give to Steele, and he's in for 6. Touchdown, Chiefs.
Which really just and by the way, the Chiefs would go on to lose 34-21. They also had a scary moment in the game when Chicago Bears defensive back Douglas Coleman III ended up being taken to the hospital, suffered some kind of an injury while trying to make a tackle. He wasn't moving on the sideline. They took his face mask off, but they didn't remove his helmet. They put him in an ambulance. Matt Eberflus said that he had movement in his limbs. He gave a thumbs up on his way out, but no updates since then that I've seen. But
it
really,
was a real quarterback showdown. Thank God for week 3 of the preseason.
Okay, so we had Ian Book
from Notre Dame, if you'll recall,
against Brett Rippon.
I had a pack of like Panini Black cards. Like they're very expensive, but you get a pack. They were like real good cards with like autographs and stuff. And the best card in there, an Ian Book,
Notre Dame.
Yes, Ian Book, Notre Dame. He was coming out in the draft.
Yeah.
You had Chris Ola. Let's play a game. Where did the quarterbacks play college football?
Okay.
Chris Ola and Mike, you can play too. You just put a thumbs up if he knows. I don't know if you can hear me. Chris Ola DeCoon.
Chris Ola DeCoon.
sounds like Hawaii.
No idea.
That's not a bad guess.
No idea.
He was South Dakota State. How do you not remember that? Brett Rippon.
Is he Boise State?
Congratulations, Jonathan Wallach.
well
you are
done.
absolutely correct. Austin Reed.
No idea.
Texas A&M.
He was in college last year. You don't know the quarterbacks from Western Kentucky University? And this guy went viral. Tyson Bagent.
Yeah, I think he's Shepherd. I remember her from last year.
There you go. And it's a him, but yes, absolutely. That is who it is. He has long hair. I could see you getting confused, but it is a him. He identifies.
Did I say her?
Yes, he identifies
I
as
meant
male.
Let's just go they. Play it safe.
Yeah, why not? Like, listen, let's not get caught up. All right, Cincinnati played yesterday, as Hardy said, against the Colts. Only one quarterback for Cincinnati yesterday. 21 attempts. Cincinnati just said, we're not getting Burrow anywhere near a field.
Yeah.
His name is Logan Woodside. He was picked in the 7th round of the 2018 draft.
Okay.
He went to a Mac college.
Mac? Ohio.
Okay, that's your guess. What's
Yes.
yours? Right state. You have the right state.
Oh, okay.
Not he didn't go to right state. You have the right state. Oh, he went to college in Ohio.
In Ohio, a Mac school in Ohio. Miami of Ohio?
Akron?
He went to Toledo,
okay.
which is not a bad program. Anthony Richardson, of course, went to Florida. Jason Bean, anybody? A rookie, Jason Bean.
No idea.
Lockhart, do you know Jason Bean? No, even Lockhart doesn't know. He went to Kentucky.
Oh.
This guy's been in the league for a while. Sam Ellinger, I think.
He's Texas. I know
Yeah,
him.
he's Texas.
Yeah.
And then finally, everyone loves him from his time at Revenge of the Nerds. Kendon Slovis.
Adams College.
Kendon.
Well done.
He's lamb to lamb to lamb to lamb. He went. Let's. Put
He was in Alpha Beta. Come on.
Keldon Slovis. Let's put it this way: he is going to heaven.
Oh, yeah, BYU.
Yes.
You got that right.
All right.
So there you go. That was the All-Stars that played yesterday. And I know, just from what I've heard, it's the only team I've heard of, the Jets playing no starters.
Yes.
In their upcoming preseason
That was
game.
it. How many games have the starters played in? Has Breece Hall played?
I don't know.
I know Rodgers has.
I mean, the games aren't on TV. I don't know, and I don't care to chase them down.
Sure.
No, Rodgers isn't going to play, and they had this big debate on ESPN if Rodgers should play. And to their credit, they all said no.
Smart. Yeah.
But I thought someone would feign like outrage that Aaron Rodgers wasn't playing. they just had joint practices with the Giants. They just dominated them. I'm not putting anyone on the field.
No, that's what the joint practices are for in this case.
Yes.
And Belichick used them that way as well a couple of times. So, I mean, if you're the Jets and you have Aaron Rodgers and Breece Hall, just came off a pretty big injury too, right? So,
Well, 2 years ago. He came back last year, but, I mean, he tore up his knees.
Last thing I want is Breece Hall playing too. So I mean,
no.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
If I'm the Jets, your win now. You just played in a controlled environment. No, you're not doing that.
Well, Mason Steele had that touchdown last night, and it also gives us the opportunity to go back and listen to Mason Steele talking about his nickname. This is from weeks ago. A couple of months ago, maybe.
Your teammates latched on the one yet? It's Crocodile because my pet alligator. I would say that's probably the big one coming into it. So.
Yeah, you beat me to that. Can you?
I spoiled the news. Yeah, I got him second or third grade probably. It's a Christmas present, and so I've had him a little while now, and he's probably around 4 or 5 feet.
How many pounds?
A crocodile or an alligator?
Alligator, yeah, but I named him Crocky J when I was younger because I thought it sounded a little better. So, but he's I would say probably 90 to 100 pounds. Yeah, he's in a big aquarium back home.
Florida? Is that where he's from?
If it's legal, then it's Florida.
Didn't Kendra ask us yesterday when she was hanging around afterward and asked us like off the air if we could have an exotic pet, which one would we have?
Yeah.
And I'm like, none. Go. Get out of here. Go.
I thought
Leave.
it was an odd question.
Yeah. I did, and I had a feeling she was only asking so we could ask her.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I did not indulge, but maybe you did. And if she did, I don't remember what
I
her
don't
answer
remember.
was.
Greenwood, Indiana, this kid is from.
Yeah, I hope you get eaten by it. Like, you want to get a cute alligator, like as if they're a pet, as if they have any notion of who you are or what's going on. They're not operating entirely on instinct. And put it in a nice aquarium. It's 5 feet long, 100 pounds, and it's in an aquarium.
I'm sure it
in your house
enjoys its existence.
So let's say to get that thing to be able to move, it's 5 feet, 100 pounds. He said, how big would that aquarium have to be? 10 feet by 10 feet?
Probably
20 feet by 20 feet for it to be able to really move around.
Remember the guy we did the news story on earlier this year about he just turned his entire front room of his house, like the enclosed porch, into an alligator sanctuary. Had the pool in there, would have the neighborhood kids come over and play with the alligator.
Yeah, and then I thought, well, like, who are you to take that away from him? He's devoted his house to it, so that was my take on that. But if he's in Indiana, that means it's not outside all year. And if you're just that's like keeping your dog in a crate 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference? Why can you wouldn't do that to a dog? Why would you do that to an alligator?
Right.
And the alligator had no idea who you are, by the way. I hope it chops your hand off.
They're dinosaurs.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple people out there that are made of alligator, the reptilian people.
Oh. Well, they're revealing themselves here and there, Fred. You have to watch. But if you pay attention, you catch flashes.
And if you
I was watching the DNC last night. I saw the lizard people on stage. You got to know what to look for, but you see it.
Okay, I'm going to Google lizard people DNC.
Just to see what happens?
Yeah.
Well, save yourself some time. Do it on Twitter. It's probably trending already. You don't even have to search.
12 million Americans believe lizard people are running our country. This is from The Atlantic.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about 90 million Americans believe aliens exist. Some 66 million of us think aliens landed in Roswell in 1948. Maybe they did. Who are we to say that didn't happen? These are things you learn when there's a lull in political news and pollsters get to ask whatever what questions they want. The lizard people is what I'm more interested in. Who are we to say there's no life outside of our planet and our knowledge? All right. I'll have to do a deeper dive. You're right. Twitter is where to look. I'm sure there's a lot of people saying when they saw like long tongues or something like that.
Here's one tweet that popped up just a couple of days ago. The hashtag GOAT of lizard people spotting. Tiffany Gomez. I keep telling you, at DNC are just hashtag reptilians in human flesh suits. The Simpsons proved it years ago. And there was some woman up on stage who kept licking her lips, I guess, a couple of nights ago at the DNC that these people have attached themselves to as obviously one of the lizard people.
I watched not 1 second because I'm such a well-informed citizzen of either convention.
Yeah.
But did you see that Barack Obama did a penis joke?
No.
About Donald Trump? You didn't see that?
No.
He said he took his hands and he said, "And what's something?" I'm gonna blow it, but he said like, and what is it with him exaggerating the size of crowds? And then he moved his hands from far away to in, and then he looked away, and the crowd went nuts. And I guess it was intended to be a penis joke. They're saying that he had a small penis.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it right. Oh, I'm looking at it right now. That's wow.
I want my president to be carrying a hog.
He's got some comedy chops.
He sold it well. But the thing is, Kamala Harris, to my knowledge, does not have a penis at all. So Trump would have the bigger penis out of both of them. So maybe this kid,
not a great flex.
Yeah,
maybe this guy from Minnesota's got enough hog for everyone. But we won't know until he whips it out.
The hog reveal. That's right.
At the vice presidential debate, there has to be at least someone measuring backstage.
Mr. Vance, step this way.
Like the Stern Show when they measured everyone in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Which I highly doubt they really did, but nonetheless.
I think we should try that. You think we wouldn't get any in trouble?
No, because we'd be the idiots that did it for real, and then everyone would sue, and then and then Gary would say, "Yeah, by the way, we're faking all of that."
Yeah. Look, talk about presidential penises on your own time. We have other things to talk about.
BMW
Championship. Sweet.
Thank you very much. Not repurposed from the PGA Championship at all. Keegan Bradley is your leader at 6 under par after one round.
Where are they holding this?
The BMW Championship is at Castle Pines Golf Club.
Why are you indulging him?
Castle Rock, Colorado. And it's the second leg of the three-legged FedEx Cup playoff series.
They're responsible for Carolina in the City. Someone will get that. Go ahead.
No, I'm with you.
Okay, thank you.
Hideki Matsuyama just one stroke off the lead after he birded 17 and 18 last week. We all remember in the first leg of the FedEx Cup playoff.
This is where the guy starts at 10 under par?
No, that'll be next week.
That's next week.
That'll be next week.
Sorry.
Sung Jae Im, Alex Noren, Adam Scott, and Corey Connors all 2 strokes off the lead going into round 2 today.
I take it back to star power involved.
BMW Championship. Hard-birding Eagles.
Did you watch any of that yesterday?
No, I forgot it was on.
You are such a poser.
See, we indulged him. It's 90 seconds. It's done.
If you go into your country clubs, the clubhouse, not the clubhouse. Yeah, I guess the clubhouse. They always have the Golf Channel on with no sound.
One TV is the Golf Channel. One used to be Fox News all the time.
Yeah, and you can't go wrong with that.
And that's it. I didn't spend a lot of time hanging out.
Yeah, I wonder if the Golf Channel could get away with a week of programming with no audio. I wonder if anyone would ever, because it's the same thing.
Just not even provide the audio.
It's the same thing with the TV debate shows. No one hears any of that audio when they're on live.
Yeah.
It's all replayed when people are watching television.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment with Jaylen Brown's new rap song. Is it good? Is it bad? I've heard it's bad, but we'll be the judge of that. I will be hearing it along with you for the first time. There's also a video that we'll be checking out. All of this is happening in just a moment.
Toucher and Hardy. WBZ-FM and HD Boston. We've got the Patriots covered.
Back to the home. He's in trouble. A sack.
It's an all-new season for the Pats, and you'll hear it all right here. 98.5, the Sports Hub, the Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
Patriots are without top left tackle Vidarian Lowe, Josh Uche, and Hunter Henry, among others, at practice yesterday with their final preseason game coming up Sunday night on the road against the Washington Commanders. There is good news on Lowe, though. The Boston Globe reports he has a minor oblique injury that is not expected to keep him out long term. As for the offense, coordinator Alex Van Pelt was asked what exactly is keeping rookie Drake May from being this team's starting quarterback.
Jacoby, right now he's our starting quarterback. So, the good news is this week we'll get to play everybody. We're still in the evaluation process. We have one more preseason game, and our guys are going to play, so we'll have another chance to evaluate.
The team will be back on the field later on this morning as practice continues. The Commanders, meanwhile, sent wide receiver and former first-round draft pick Jahan Dotson and a fifth-round selection to Philadelphia for a third-rounder and a pair of picks in round 7. Kansas City assigned two-time Pro Bowl center Creed Humphrey to a 4-year, $72 million contract extension. The Red Sox, Kansas City, and Minnesota all had last night off. That means the Sox are still 3.5 games out of a playoff spot, heading into a 3-game home series against Arizona tonight. The Royals will host Philadelphia, and the Twins will host St. Louis. Aaron Judge's 48th homer of the season. The Yankees beat Cleveland 6-0. And the Seattle Mariners have fired manager Scott Service and replaced him with former Mariners catcher Dan Wilson. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Eastern Massachusetts' leader in drain cleaning and pipelining, Drains by James. Slow drain, clogged drain. You need to contact Drains by James today at drainsbyjames.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
Let's talk turkey, shall we?
Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, in the sports industry, that's what you say.
Got your talking head right here, buddy.
98.5 The Sports Hub. In the office, in your car, in your footy pajamas, this is how Boston sports fans start their day.
I bet you're just jealous.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube. I will just read this from Hardwood Houdini. From the time he was drafted, there were people... Bert Breer here is here from MMQB, by the way. For the time he was drafted, there were people waiting for Jaylen Brown to fail. One of the biggest and weirdest criticisms directed at him coming out of college is that he was too smart to play basketball.
That was one of the criticisms?
Yes, it was universal. Everyone said he's too
smart. That happens in football sometimes, too.
Yeah, well, there you go.
A guy who thinks too much.
It happened
Alex Smith was that guy.
Okay. It happened
he's too conscientious of everything.
It happened to Leo when he tried to join the Staties. They said 5 years from now, you can be an astronaut. You will not be a Massachusetts State Trooper. And he said, you know this? I know this.
What's that from?
They deal in deception, not self-deception. The Departed, Oscar-winning film, Fred.
Since then, Brown has spoken at Harvard, modeled Louis Vuitton, and helped the Celtics win Banner 18, getting on track with ASAP Ferg, who is, as you guys are well aware.
Yes, I have all.
He's part of the ASAP mob. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the ASAP mob?
Yeah, he spells the S with a dollar sign.
Yeah, they're a collective from Harlem.
Okay.
Got it.
Always strive and prosper. Okay. So there is a video that he's come out. He has a song called "Just Do It."
Wait a second.
I think that might be a shot at Nike.
Oh, that's where I've heard that before.
Of course.
Okay, so the video is 6 minutes and 18 seconds long.
Oh, let's play all of it.
No, well, there's nothing to play for the first 3 minutes. Like 3 minutes. Okay, so it's Jaylen Brown laying on I'm supposed to set this up. I haven't heard the song yet, but I know the video. So it's Jaylen Brown laying. It's black and white. He's laying on a.
It's kind of sepia, but yeah, sure.
Okay, it's black. I don't know what that word means, but I'm giving you credit for knowing it. He's laying on a couch with his phone on his chest.
Okay,
and then.
By the way, in what appears to be a hotel suite.
I think it might be his apartment, but yes. He is laying there, and then he picks up this very fancy remote control.
Oh,
about the size of a large iPad, even bigger maybe.
An AV guy tried to sell me one of those ones.
Very good, Bert. Let's not get off track.
Stay on point, Bert.
And so he sits there and he's working the television. The TV comes on, and he starts watching TV. And then who comes in but Aesop Ferg? And Aesop Ferg, they talk, and then he puts this necklace around.
Well, Fred, you have to know that Jaylen Brown is in a very bad way. He's depressed. He's laying on the floor. He's spooning like ice cream into his mouth. I mean, he's in a dark place.
Okay, so I'm supposed to know he's down in the dumps, you're saying?
Down in the dumps.
So he puts this necklace on. Skabam. We're in color. We're in a car with Aesop Ferg. It's a convertible. We have gold on, and we're starting to rap. Now, this is the first time we're all hearing this?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Jaylen Brown and Aesop Ferg, just do it.
To delete. Hey, listen, I've been thinking a lot, and I just gotta be real with you. I really admire how hard you work and how committed you are to your game, but I feel like we've been drifting apart lately.
Fans across the globe are reacting to.
Okay, so he's listening to, when he's laying on the couch, he's listening to the message from his girl.
Yeah, and can I just, before you say it again, it's Aesop Ferg. You make it sound like it's Aesop's Fables when you say Aesop Ferg.
I thought it was based on Aesop's Fables. It's not? I thought it was a Peter, Paul, and Mary situation.
When you want Nicholas to come in here, you don't want him Aesop, you want him ASAP.
Aesop, like
Aesop.
like
Well,
Puff the Magic Dragon. You know?
Fans across the globe are reacting to the unexpected absence of Jaylen Brown in the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's real audio. They got that from, you could tell they got that from an actual broadcast.
It is because fans.
CNN
You remember all the protests here. Remember when we had that big rally in front of the Boston Olympic Committee building?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, fans across the world. That was happening in a lot of countries. It was like hands across the America times 10. People are and they got a very good AI to do that.
Recent developments have raised concerns among fans.
Just can't seem to shake the feeling that Brown's been blacklisted due to its ongoing conflict with Nike.
Okay, this is all still the depressed part. We're still in the hotel room watching TV.
Yeah,
eating ice cream.
He was too smart for the NBA, is what a lot of people were saying.
Problems too deep for any therapist.
Huh? This is the jingle for 1-800-THERAPY.
Problems too deep for any therapist.
Depressed, anxiety, OCD. You need a therapist.
Problems too deep for...
And here comes Aesop Ferg. ASAP Ferg.
Bro, what's really good with you? You ain't been picking up your phone, bro. Everybody looking for you. You got mad food in the hallway. You smell like a piece of shit. I know Tamika still don't got you tripping.
Yes, Matilda was just over.
You smell like what?
Yes, of course I do. Matilda was just here. You saw me pay her. You didn't pass her in the hall?
Come closer.
You holding out on me?
You got mad food in the hallway. You smell like a piece of shit.
Yes, I am one. What?
I need discipline.
Yes.
Next.
You know I was just in Germany.
You smell like a piece of shit. I know Tamika still don't got you tripping. And you ain't even come to Malcolm's birthday. Yo, bruh, you got me hot. And you... Yo, get out of my way, man.
Oh, Jaylen said get out of my way.
Bruh, broski, don't worry, my G. I got something for you. Guaranteed to shift your energy.
All right, now he's putting on the necklace.
Guaranteed to shift your energy.
No, bro, what is this?
This is that right here.
Where'd you get this from?
Guaranteed to shift your energy.
Why is it glowing?
You asking way too much questions. Guaranteed to shift your energy. You singing along with me? Guaranteed to shift your energy. Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
To shift.
To shift.
Your energy.
Your energy.
It's gonna get that funk up off you. Let's get it. Come on.
Well, I don't want it.
It's taken a really long time to get this thing going. As you said, 6-minute, 18-second video.
Yeah. But, I mean, you get some laughs. Plus, you remember the great rallies that were happening on this
Right.
day.
Well, worldwide. And you could tell because one of the newscasters was British. So that automatically means international.
Cheerio, that Jaylen Brown.
Put it on.
Dude, it was crazy. Guaranteed to shift your energy.
Here we go. And we're in color.
Okay, so two things. When it popped into color, I had only seen the video. I expected a much different vibe from the music.
Yeah,
Number one.
They're in a convertible, smiling and joking around.
Right.
It's a very laid back situation.
It's a nice car, though. I think it's a Sebring, and you can tell.
Yeah.
It's not a Miata. It's bigger than that.
No, it's not a coupe. It's got a back seat.
They're driving around, and it looks like it's going to be party music. At one point in the video, they look up at like a big clock on the side of the street. It's 10:30. Like, I bet they shot this in Boston. They wanted to have actual people on the street. Got to do it before 11.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're going to be dead.
Everything closes.
Yeah. You got to get out of the house. I mean, it's already 10:30. I mean, everything's closed. That's why they have to drive, too. They couldn't walk. They had to drive around to find a place that was open.
10:30.
We only have the one shot before we lose everybody.
Even I stay up till 10:30. I mean,
Man.
Yeah, it's not taking the bull by the horns. All right, so is that good or bad? I don't even know anymore.
I don't think it's a good song so far.
No,
but we haven't heard the whole thing.
Well, that's all I got so far.
Oh, that's a shame.
But it's that's all I have so far. I don't think it changes much. Is what I'm saying. I think that it's this is the whole thing.
I don't want to blame ASAP Ferg because I don't want to get into any beef. But maybe the collaboration just didn't click. I don't know.
I don't know, but it's worth being part of the ASAP mob, though. ASAP mob.
Brian Beaton, what did you say about the necklace he put on that's an actual thing?
I looked it up. It says it digitally gives you caffeine and melatonin without having to ingest both substances.
So it looked like just a prop, but you're telling me that's a little product placement for an actual necklace you can wear?
Yeah, it either helps you stay awake with the caffeine, and apparently it makes you sleep better with melatonin. You don't have to ingest it. It just digitally seeps through.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't want to adjust melatonin. Then, seriously, guys.
Okay.
I used to mainline it.
If you could give me one of those necklaces that helps me get the magnesium in, because that is the wonder drug.
Right. That's the fentanyl of the melatonin world. Melatonin's like roxycodone. You know what when you start taking the magnesium, that's like the fentanyl that's infiltrated everything.
Right. We found
You mean this necklace has coffee and BS supplements you can buy at CVS in it?
That's phenomenal.
Wow, I could buy these things easily over the counter. I could have as much as I want, but this necklace distributes it, and I don't have to ingest it. Something my body makes anyway, melatonin. Something that is in my body currently. I wouldn't want to ingest it. I would like it to seep through my. If you don't, wait a second. If you don't ingest it, how does it get into your body? Is it your body's absorbing it in some fashion? Is it just you don't have to take it orally? Does it come in any kind of anal situation? Because I don't like swallowing things if I don't have to either. Any kind of suppository is a better way to get it inside me. All right. Well, listen, the next song is The Hare and the Tortoise, which is one of the Aesop malls. The Frog Desires a King.
Huh. I would like to hear that.
The Shepherd Boy and the Wolf.
Yeah.
It's a whole mob. All right, so we'll be back. Bert Breer is here, and we will be talking to him about everything that's going on in the NFL. Let's go. Let's ride.
98.5.
Like, let's roll the dice.
The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're 98.5 The Sports Hub. Bert Breer is the senior NFL reporter and lead content strategist for the MMQB. He's live in studio with us this morning. Hello, Bert.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Fred?
Got yourself a little sandwich over there.
Yep.
You seem annoyed.
Why am I annoyed? I'm not annoyed.
I don't know. You shut down a little bit in the last break, Bert.
I don't know if I shut down.
You didn't have anything to say. You shut down.
I wish I could. Well, you were playing a lot of audio, though.
Yeah, I know, because I didn't know when to interrupt it because a lot was coming at me. But those necklaces are real. I guess.
Is it the same thing as the rings? Is that similar to the rings?
What was it?
Remember when
Hardy?
people like the ones that you wear on your index finger, right? That somehow
Gigi
have that
Rodriguez, the copper band.
This is much more high tech because I think the rings, number one, smaller, so they can't nearly provide as much power, I would think. But this thing has like a charging base, and there are different levels that you can program in it to give you, different magnetic fields will provide different things, according to Happy. Oh, I'm already investigating.
Yeah.
How much is
So,
this
but
go
is the
for?
necklace? Is the necklace just like a like one of those like black, like almost like the bungee material, right? Like the thin bungee
No,
material.
it weighs 12 ounces. So this is not a. This is like a Tyler Milliken's cousin, chain situation.
Can I get a cross to affix to it?
Probably. The 1-year membership neckband, $349. It's good for daytime, nighttime. You get a USB charging cable, and there are over 75 vibes and growing, available for both iOS and Android. So
now we're too far in the science nerd weeds.
You got to program it depending on what you want.
Yeah, but listen, now it's getting into nuclear physics. Vibes?
Yeah.
I mean, what if I want a chill vibe? What if I want to get wild, like it's 10:30 at night?
So this is like the dispensary where you can buy different types that do different.
Yeah, there's if you want a couch high, you put on the Magnodon 2, and if you want to like you just snorted a bunch of Adderall, you put that on 5.
You put it's like a hardband necklace. It's got a thick front to it that kind of lays over like the top of your sternum, and then there appears to be an app, and you pull up, what do you want? I want focused, and so then it sends focus vibes through the necklace.
It's like pharmaceuticals, but they don't work. Now, here's the thing. According to Magnet RX, it says it has improved circulation, chronic pain relief. Now, listen, this is their explanation. It's RX, so you know it's medical. Chronic pain relief. Chronic pain is one of the leading causes of disability and decreased quality of life.
I didn't know that.
Well, this is RX. This is why they're telling you.
Wow.
Chronic pain's not good. It can be a little disconcerting.
Huh.
This frequent or prolonged pain is often most caused by an abundance of lactic acid and calcium. That is true. I mean, other than like cancer or something. I would assume that cancer or a terrible car wreck.
Do broken bones cause chronic pain?
Well, that's when calcium is way out of there's too much of it. Plus, your lactic acid is all built up. Because one lactic acid, you could like swim a bunch of laps and then the next day you'd be sore.
Yeah.
Or you could get hit with a truck and then be bedridden for 2 months.
That's chronic.
Yeah, that might be chronic. A recent study, so who were we to blame, showed that the calcium cells responded to magnets. Calcium cells in our body.
Yeah,
those calcium cells?
Magnets, how
Red
do they
blood
work?
cells, white blood cells, calcium cells. We all have them. This could, I always like that. The doctor says, look, you're going to die. But this could, it's not, no one said it couldn't.
Put this necklace on.
You put this necklace on, you'll be okay.
When you're at like the experimental phase of like dying, like where it's like, all right, like I'm willing to throw anything at it, then you put the necklace on.
Yeah, well, might as well. I mean,
Right.
you take some, you eat
Whatever.
some, you eat some tree bark and put the necklace on. This could point to a more efficient way of moving calcium through the body and taking pain with it. So if you're experiencing chronic pain right now, look no further than the calcium deposits in your body. Good for Jaylen Brown. He's too smart for basketball. He really is. He really is. And he needed the money. Better sleep. Insomnia can be caused by many factors. One of them most is pain bothering us at night.
How about that?
It's the only reason people can't sleep. That's why they said counting sheep, because it stops pain. If you've ever tried to sleep while your body is aching, you know how hard it is to fall asleep and get a good night's rest. Both magnetic jewelry and sleeping pads can help soak up your urine and reduce the pain and stiffness. So I think they're going a lot with the pain. So Jaylen Brown, congratulations. Not only do you love the Black Israelites, you sell magnetic jewelry that is supposed to ease chronic pain.
I'm going to get one.
You might as well. Let's just. But I'm afraid because you used to have a problem with chemicals. I'm afraid you're going to start. We're going to come in and you're going to have 15 necklaces on one day, and you're going to be all hopped up.
You're saying there's such thing as gateway jewelry?
Absolutely. You put that thing on
It's going to be
4.
like rubbing it against your face.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're gonna have one down. You're gonna be swallowing them.
Yeah.
Jesus, Hardy. I mean, next thing you know, you're gonna be sticking to the refrigerator. You're gonna be a big problem. All right.
Can you make a C-ring sized one?
Absolutely.
Because right now I'm just using rawhide, and it really only does one thing.
Yes.
I need a mood booster. I need the afternoon focus. I need everything.
Yeah, you're doing speedballs at that point. You're putting on the melatonin and the Adderall one. All right, Bert. What is going to go on with the New England Patriots? What are you hearing? They named Van Pelt. Mayo said he was the head coach of the offense. What does that mean?
So, like, I actually did a story with Mayo that's in the preview issue. This isn't a shameless plug. That's on newsstands now.
You can plug things, dude.
But yeah, no, I think like Gerard's intention all along has been to be a walk-around head coach and put DeMarcus Covington in charge of the defense and put Alex Van Pelt in charge of the offense, and sort of be quality control over everything. So, when you do that, you do empower the coordinators on each side of the ball. And, I know, like, Alex Van Pelt wasn't the sexiest named out there. They made a very strong offer to Nick Caley. Nick Caley decided he wanted to stay with the Rams. Zach Robinson was on their radar. Zach Robinson was never going anywhere else but with Raheem Morris, if Raheem Morris got a job, which he did in Atlanta. So, I think the one thing that they did here is they looked on the offensive side of the ball. Gerard's expertise has been on defense. DeMarcus Covington's a first-time coordinator on that side, and they wanted experience on that side of the ball. So the fact that Alex Van Pelt, Ben McAdoo, T.C. McCartney are all coming over, I think it makes sense that you're going to leave the process of developing Drake May, the process of assessing Drake May, and then ultimately the decision on who's going to start largely in the hands of the offensive coaches, because that's not Gerard Mayo's area of expertise.
Yeah, it's smart. I mean, it is smart. What is Alex Van Pelt's reputation around the NFL? Like, is he suited for this?
I feel like we've been over this discussion a lot, though. And I know it's coming back up now because of what's happening with the quarterbacks. And I understand that, but like, he's got a good reputation. And he coached a lot of years in Green Bay. At one point, I mean, and one of the things like he's always been really good at, as a former player and a guy who played in the league for a long time, is somebody who can help you. Help the climate of the locker room, can help you build a program. And, in Green Bay in a lot of different ways, there was a point where he was the buffer between Rodgers and McCarthy. Then in Cleveland, the last couple of years, he was really valuable in how they dealt with a lot of weird situations, the Deshaun Watson trade, all the quarterback shuffling last year. And he was able to kind of maintain the sort of culture they wanted in the staff, the kind of culture they wanted in the locker room. And I think that's something that's going to be really valuable on a team that's probably going to lose a lot of games. You know what I mean? Like, so that's number one. And then number two, he's been around a lot of good offensive systems. McCarthy, it may have gotten stale at the end of Green Bay, but they scored a lot of points for a lot of years. And, then he's in Cincinnati with Zach Taylor for that first year. So he got to see the McVay system from Zach Taylor. Then Kevin Stefanski comes over. His background is in the Gary Kubiak system, and that was what he was running the last 4 years in Cleveland. So he's seen different ways to do it. I mean, his background's in the West Coast, but he's seen a lot of different ways to run that system. And, again, I think we're all guilty sometimes of optics here, and you look at him and he doesn't look like Zach Robinson.
Right.
I mean, I just think that that's part of it. Like, you see him with the camo hat, and, he's a bigger guy.
He's a dumpy-looking fella.
And he's from Pittsburgh, and
Right.
he's kind of got that. He sounds like Zolak. You know what I mean? And so there's all of that I think doesn't fit what your image of an offensive coordinator is right now. But there's a lot of reason why he's here and why he was the right guy for Gerard Mayo. It's sort of the same concept as Sean McVay hiring Wade Phillips when he first got to the Rams, because he knew he needed an experienced guy on the other side of the ball. And, for Gerard, that was not just Alex Van Pelt, by the way. It's also Ben McAdoo.
It's such a huge departure, too, from what was going on here last year when there was this, apparently not enough communication for the last couple of years going on here. And there was a lot of infighting between the coaches. And, maybe I'm putting too much on it, but let's leave it at this. Maybe not a clear-cut distinction in terms of job responsibility and who is going to be doing what and whether or not they were all on the same page. By virtue of the way this has been set up, and it sounds like the way Gerard has handled at least that aspect of it, there's a pretty defined set of, no, you're going to be responsible for this because this isn't my area.
Well, and I think a big part of it is just allowing him to become the head coach, and trying to backstop him in as many ways as possible so he can be the head coach. And, again, there's going to be a learning curve. Like, this is a year or two ahead of what they expected. I don't care what they say, right? Like, the expectation was the Bill was still going to be here this year.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously things kind of got to the point last year where you couldn't do that. And I get their premise. I mean, again, like, I hate to keep going back to McVay, but I guess that's the example, right? Like, which is the Rams' logic in hiring McVay at 30 years old was better a year too early than a year too late. And if we have to help him that first year, then we can do that. But if we wait the extra year, this guy's going to be a really hot name and we could lose him. So, look, I'm sure we're going to be arguing, over the next 5 months whether or not they should have hired Mike Vrabel, right? Like, because Vrabel's name's going to get hot again, right? And he obviously has the ties to the franchise, and there were other options out there. But, based on like the point at which they brought Gerard Mayo in, they needed some experienced assistant coaches on the staff. And there are very few assistant coaches that were available that were going to be more experienced than the combination of Van Pelt and McAdoo.
What is your read on their evaluation of their number one draft pick? That's all anyone wants to know about.
I think the progress is steady, John. Like, I think we get so herky-jerky here. And I told you guys that morning after the Carolina game, I think, right? Like, that this was part of, like, the sequencing that they were going to have for the quarterback. And so it went from, let's not throw him out there with the second offensive line. Let's be careful. Let's get his feet wet and get him the hell out of there against Carolina. Let's let him take his lumps a little bit in a controlled environment against Philly. And then let's play him a lot more in the second preseason game, so we can get him good experience and build some confidence. And I think, like, what you're seeing and what you've seen over the last week and a half, and I'm not saying that they've reinvented the wheel here, but I think there's at least some glimmer that it's working.
Right.
Because what are you hearing out of practice now? It's a lot different than what you were hearing 3 weeks ago.
Sure.
And that, I don't know why. I haven't listened to everything here over the last few weeks. I've obviously been on the road.
Why?
But it sounds to me like things have really turned on the way people are talking about the way he's practicing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've heard too, is that it's been steady. And I mean, if we're talking much differently about Drake May than we were 3 weeks ago, which is like, he may never be an NFL quarterback, to all of a sudden now, like, just start him, throw him out there. Well, that's at least a sign that what they're doing is working.
Yeah, I mean, I was all on board with really killing the guy at 21, the second week of camp, saying this guy could never play in the NFL.
I think there was some of that, though, right? Like,
of course there was.
Which is ridiculous.
Get used to it.
Which is like so insane, because, like, in April, we were all sitting here saying he's not ready. He's
right.
raw. Like, that was his reputation going in. And so there was the acknowledgement it's going to take time. And yet you're sitting here in August and like declaring it over. That makes no sense.
See, Hardy said it. It's if you're 35 years old or younger, you have never experienced anything like this with football. Like you've just not experienced it in
That's
this
a good
town.
point too.
Yeah, in your formative years when you first started caring about sports, the Patriots won their first Super Bowl, and that's all you've known was winning. And now they didn't. Obviously, they had stretches where, they fell short. But it's a far cry from teams that go 4-13.
Right.
That is something that that a lot of people, adults who have been adults for a decade or more, have not experienced.
I mean, when I was a kid growing up here, it was like the Lisa Olson, Raymond Claiborne, getting punched by Will McDonough era.
Oh, man.
So that was when I was like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old.
Yeah, the Victor Kiam
days, man.
The Victor Kiam teams. Like,
Sam Jankovic.
I was wondering the other day what it would be like in today's environment if those teams existed.
Oh my God!
Oh, it would be the best. It would be anarchy. Not that I condone anything that happened.
Force them to move the damn team after that.
But it would be.
They probably would have moved. Like it probably would have just happened.
They almost went to Connecticut anyway. I mean, my God.
Well, we couldn't have that. I mean, they're in Foxborough, right around the corner. All right, we'll be back in just a moment. There is a coach whose name I can't stop hearing. And I do want to bring it up to you because it has been interesting. I listen to a lot of national sports radio, and this has piqued my interest. We'll be right back. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub.
It's hard to concentrate. Hey, we're Dutcher and Hardy.
Kind of hard to drop that conversation and jump on the air.
We're Dutcher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Very quickly before I get to the question, I'm curious what this is. Dan, go ahead.
Fred, I just want to help educate you about hurt and pain. During that Jaylen Brown segment, you did a British accent. As a British American, my family immigrated here in 1610, and we've been trying to shake that accent ever since. They came here with nothing but blood sausage in their backpacks. And for you, insensitively, to mock our accent, I am offended. You're as bad as Travis Kelce. I cannot believe it.
Well, now you're mudslinging. Now you are mudslinging.
Wow.
All I can do is sincerely apologize to the British people of Britain for my accent.
Thank you.
I mean, I believe part Anglo.
I don't think anybody I don't know. I always think you sound like 50% smarter if you have a British accent.
Well, you're 50% more likely to get laid. I got news for you. Have you watched Love Island? That anytime
a lot of people are talking about that. I heard about that on Hard Knocks too, right?
Yeah, my daughter is super into Love Island, so I watch Love Island with her. And anyone that comes in with an accent is immediately they do it on purpose. They put people. I don't want. Now this is the American one, not the British one. The British one, they actually have sex. A lot, apparently.
And do the guys with American accents come on there and slay on the British
So I
British
wonder
version?
if
I would imagine.
If you were in college and you faked one, do you think it would work then?
It did in singles.
Told people your name was Nigel or something?
It wasn't a British one, but the guy fakes being a foreigner in singles. Remember?
Singles?
Yeah, remember the first girl the guy that the girl meets and he takes her to the museum and stuff? Kevin Bacon's wife. And she meets him and she takes him around and he goes, I have to leave. My visa's expired.
Oh,
and then
my God. It's like a vignette at the beginning. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, Bert, I've heard this twice now. National guys, one, a gambling guy, but don't worry, I'm not going to get into gambling. And two, we both have the same opinion on that. And then two, just another national guy talking about the Eagles. Who's going to win the NFC East? It's, Dallas, the Eagles. You have there's a bunch of situations that are going on. Matt Patricia's name. Matt Patricia was he elevated to defensive coordinator of the Eagles last year?
Yeah, in the middle of the year, they had Sean Desai as their defensive coordinator, who was not fired, but almost reassigned, and they made Matt Patricia the coordinator halfway through the year. And Patricia, in his defense, Patricia was running a defense that wasn't his system, which means you can draw it up and look at it, but you don't know where all the answers are,
Right.
So in defense of Patricia, he was put in a kind of a no-win situation last year.
The Eagles were 10-1 last year.
Yep. And they finished 1-5. And then then they 11-6, then they lost to Tampa, was it?
Why did they put Patricia into that defensive coordinator role?
Because they panicked. Because it was they had brought Matt in to sort of oversee the new defense going in. They'd lost Jonathan Gannon to Arizona. Nothing you can do about that. The guy becomes a head coach, and Howie Roseman had been obsessed. Might be the wrong word, but very intrigued by Vic Fangio's system. They had Fangio in the building as a consultant, and he accepted the Miami job during their Super Bowl run. They didn't know they were going to lose Gannon yet, so they had Fangio lined up this will be our next defensive coordinator whenever Gannon gets one. Well, Fangio had already accepted the job in Miami at something like $4.8 million a year, right? And so Fangio had already agreed to leave. They tried to see if he would go back on that and turn the deal down. He says no. He winds up going to Miami, And so like the Fangio thing was sort of like hovering over them all year. Desai worked for Fangio in Chicago and winds up becoming the coordinator anyway. So he's the defensive play caller. Doesn't work. Midway through the year, they go to Patricia, who's running a defense that's not really his defense, and now they wind up with Fangio a year later.
So Bill Belichick. So here's Patricia's run. He's an absolute disaster from the beginning of camp, his first camp with the Detroit Lions.
And I saw, God, he took some shots too, and that in the story that Connor and Greg wrote, the Lions story. I don't know if you guys read that.
Yeah. It was on the cover, wasn't it?
It was the cover. Yeah.
And so, they hated him. They hated him right from the beginning.
Well, they brought up the hill.
Especially.
You guys know about the hill?
No.
All right, so you guys know how the Patriots have like the hill where they run.
At the end of practice, yeah.
Okay, so at the end of practice, there's that hill that's like goes down the back of the practice fields to where like the Revolution used to practice down there, right? So when Matt got to Detroit, like you guys are familiar with the landscape of the greater Detroit area. You two are at least
relatively flat,
and how very flat it is.
Oh yeah, baby.
So they spent like tens of thousands.
Dream.
They spent tens of thousands of dollars to build this hill.
No.
On the practice field.
I've never heard this before. They built a hill
in Allen Park. Yeah, so like they built a conditioning hill, and so like they built the conditioning hill and it's still there. But now they use it for like VIPs and stuff. It's like overlooks the practice field.
They use it to run remote control cars and try and get them to jump.
Decker slugged through each practice, tamping down his own aches and pains in the shadow of the $500,000 hill.
So you didn't know it was $500,000.
Head coach Matt Patricia had built at the edge of the practice field of the team's facility in Allen Park.
That's kind
meant to be an ode to toughness.
That's kind of pathetic.
Well, this is what they say. Meant to as an ode to toughness, it looked more like a poorly hidden septic system.
Well, it's just like like that was another example of like trying too hard to import something that you learned in New England. Like Bill put that hill was there naturally. You know, like that was something like, let's use that to condition,
And it's also like not getting it, right? Like you have a mentor that has been very successful and you're picking out like the worst things. People who ripped off Stern did the same stuff. They would go, lesbians. Like that's it. It's lesbians. Like there's a bunch of lesbians on, and then they would just lesbians, but they weren't funny or subversive or attack. There was none of that other stuff. It was just sex. Like they didn't get it. So he does that. Then he goes to the Patriots, and one of the most arrogant coaching moves of all time is a disaster as an offensive coach. Then he goes to the Eagles. He's made defensive coordinator. And they lose.
I'd argue the last two aren't really even his fault.
But he took the job.
Have some self-awareness, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot take a job, Bert.
Right.
Like, you know that. If they offered you a job at Mass General, brain, like
I might want to help, but I probably wouldn't take the job.
You probably wouldn't take the job, Like, there's jobs that...
I think you could do it.
Yeah. There's jobs that
I'd love to help people who are sick, but I'm probably not qualified to be cutting into somebody's head.
It's in the family.
Yeah.
Once you've been a head coach in the NFL, regardless, like, you're a known name in that you're in the circle now, so you can say no and pick and choose jobs at that point, and you're still getting paid. Like, there's a lot of reasons that Patricia should have said no to that job.
You know what's crazy is the guy who was his general manager in Detroit, Bob Quinn, is actually doing great now because he didn't come back here. Like, that is a huge reason. Like, and he is...
Where's he now?
He's in Cleveland.
Okay.
And they've built a really good roster there, and he's... I know him relatively well. Like, he's from here.
Right.
So he so Bob Quinn's like from Norwood. Like, it would have been the most comfortable thing in the world for him to just come back here, and he decided to do something a little bit less comfortable. He left the family and went to Cleveland and got to see a completely different way of doing things. Like, I think in a similar way, Brian Flores is really going to benefit and has already benefited from working with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. Because,
well, that gets us to Flores. We got 2 minutes. Flores.
You want to do another break? Because I was sleepy in the first break. Because we can if you want.
Yeah, we can do another break. Why not?
I want to hear about Flores.
Okay,
his
we can talk
reputation
about
and all
that
that
too.
stuff.
Yeah, we can do a little bit of Flores.
I'm still
Friday.
processing the fact that Patricia built a hill in Detroit.
But
you guys know Allen Park, right? Like, it's basically Dearborn. It's beyond flat. Like, it's a part of the country where at night you can see the sunset like way off in the distance.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that flat.
It's not Colorado, exactly. Yeah. By the way, stop saying flat. Hardy's getting all hot and bothered.
Well, again, it's helped me. It's helped me figure out things about myself. It just makes me think of home.
That's true. That's true. It's like why people like women in nylons. It reminds them of hugging their mama's leg.
I'm going to see if I can find a picture of it for you guys.
Does it surprise you, Hardy, that he did that? Does it surprise you that Matt Patricia did that?
I'll tell you
Yes,
this.
because that's so egregious and it's so obvious
doesn't
what he was
surprise
doing
me
at
at
all.
People say he's really smart, but he's not. Like everything that I hear that he did there. No, he's not. That's the thing. He's not.
There are different kinds of smart. One thing I've learned. There are different kinds of smart.
But his whatever level of intelligence he has is not applicable to what he's been doing.
So what's interesting is, like the guy who replaced him.
Yeah.
Everyone thought was a dumbass, and isn't.
Oh, Campbell. Yeah.
And isn't at all. And I'm just telling you, like Campbell's like Vrabel, which is, I think we've all been around people like this, and I really respect these two guys for this. It's the guy who you think he's a meathead, and he doesn't mind you thinking that when he's actually the smartest guy in the room because he's secure enough in himself that he doesn't care. And if you think he's a meathead, he might actually have you right where he wants you.
The thing that sold me and finally hipped me to all that was after the shooting at the high school in Oxford. And Campbell went up after the game to do his post game, and he spoke unscripted for 3 or 4 minutes about that. And he was eloquent and sincere and genuine, and just he could not have been better in that moment. I'm like, oh, he's not some big dummy. It's not totally an act, but he's also way smarter and way more way more on the ball than I give credit.
I asked Jared Goff about this. I'm just pulled it up from when I was there earlier in the summer. I asked Jared Goff. I'm like, it seems like this guy's incredibly. I said about Dan. It seems like this guy's incredibly emotionally has incredible emotional intelligence. Like Jared couldn't get the words out of his mouth fast enough. The best I've ever been around. I don't think you can teach it. He's just got it. All of our coaching staff will watch him in front of the room, and he knows exactly when to push, exactly when to pull. Even sometimes when you're like, man, is that the right thing? A week later, you're like, I'm glad he did that.
Game.
He just but that's such a huge part of those jobs, though.
Oh,
sure.
sure.
That's what the Patriots are banking on Mayo. Mayo.
All right,
he'll have that.
Very good. Bert's going to stick around. We will be back. I mean, you just have Dan Campbell talking about Oxford. Did he not do the bad Patricia and immediately scold the media for not dressing up for his?
It was sitting up. Yeah, sit up straight in your chair, please.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
All right, you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different.
98.5, the Sports Hub, a Beasley Media Group station. Sports Hub headlines.
Patriots' final preseason game is Sunday night against the Washington Commanders, and they still have an unsettled lineup. Starting left tackle Vidarian Lowe sat out practice yesterday. The Boston Globe reports it's an oblique problem that is not expected to keep him out long term. Offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, meanwhile, continues to be asked about who has the lead to be the starting quarterback of this team.
Coach said it's open competition. Obviously, we have one more game to go. That I'm sure there's a chance. But I think as you go in, there's still a process of how you bring a rookie quarterback along. So I think that's important to remember it as well.
He added the only thing standing in the way of Drake May being the starter is Jacoby Brissett. The Commanders, meanwhile, sent wide receiver and former first-round draft pick Jahan Dotson and a fifth-round pick to Philadelphia for a third-rounder and a pair of picks in round 7. Kansas City has re-signed two-time Pro Bowl center Creed Humphrey. It's a 4-year, $72 million extension that'll make him the top-paid player in the game at his position. The Red Sox, Kansas City, and Minnesota all had last night off. That means the Sox are still 3.5 games out of a playoff spot. They open up a 3-game series against Arizona at Fenway Park tonight. And the Seattle Mariners yesterday fired manager Scott Servais after a 1-8 road trip that dropped them to .500 on the season. He has been replaced with former Mariners catcher Dan Wilson. Sports Hub headlines are driven by the rugged Honda Pilot. Head to your local New England Honda dealers to learn more and see our line of rugged vehicles. I'm John Wallach of Boston Hill for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
If you've got the app, you've got Toucher and Hardy to wake you up no matter where you are.
Or who may or may not have been to jail.
Get the app, the 98.5 The Sports Hub app.
Twitch feed of this is going to be used all around the internet.
Get up.
The cat is finally out of the bag.
Get up.
We're back. Toucher and Hardy.
Get up.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
FanDuel Sportsbook, make every moment more with FanDuel. Bert Breer is kind enough to hang around for a little while. He's a senior NFL reporter and lead content strategist for the MMQB. He's in studio with us
Yeah,
this
I felt
morning.
like I owed you one, too, so...
Well, listen, that's very nice of you. But, all right.
That first break, I was just, I don't know, I think I kind of checked out. So
You checked out.
I'll admit it now.
Yeah, I'd shut you down and you checked out. You took it bad.
Yeah.
All right, Hardy, play us the conversation Dan Levitard had with Tua, if you would be so kind, sir.
Yeah, and Bert, you're familiar with this, I'm sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so the initial thing about this, just to bring everybody up to speed while I find it here, even though you asked me to, Fred, was that there was the notion that when Brian Flores left Miami, not all was great, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was an ownership thing. I didn't hear all that much about his relationship with the players, though.
No, and, he's suing the league and everything, so it's interesting. So, Flores with the big background in the Belichick coaching tree, do you got the Tua thing?
And I have Brian Flores talking about it, too.
Yeah, all right. Let's hear what Tua had to say.
All right, here's Tua.
To put it in simplest terms, if you woke up every morning and I told you you suck at what you did, that you don't belong doing what you do, that you shouldn't be here, that this guy should be here, that you haven't earned this right, and then you have somebody else come in and tell you, dude, you are the best fit for this. Like, you are accurate, you are the best whatever, you are this, you are that. Like, how would it make you feel listening to one or the other? You see what I'm saying? And then you hear it, the good or the bad, and you hear it more and more. You start to actually believe that. I don't care who you are. You could be the president of the United States. You have a terrible person that's telling you things that you don't want to hear, or that you probably shouldn't be hearing. You're going to start to believe that about yourself. And so that's sort of like what ended up happening. And it was, it's basically been, 2 years of training that out of not just me, but, a couple of the guys as well that have been here since my rookie year.
All right, and we don't have to play Brian Flores. What Brian Flores says is he's like, look, I'm a human being, da-da-da-da. He kind of takes responsibility.
Yeah.
Which I thought
he was good.
So did I. So, what's the deal with Brian Flores? Where does he stand now?
So, I mean, I think one important thing that people are missing on this is who Tua's college coach was. I mean, it's not like this guy came from a soft program in college.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
He wasn't playing for a player's coach.
Yeah, it wasn't Pete Carroll in college. Gosh, golly, gee willikers, and then he still hated what Brian Flores did.
If you don't know,
to
it
him.
was Nick Saban. He was not known as a nice guy.
Jeez. That's a really good point.
So, but here's the thing. Like, I do think that, and I think this is one thing that Flo has learned from this is kind of where
what about the other waitresses?
When you get
Fred.
when you get a player on your team, and I think this sometimes happens when coaches go into new teams, right? That's your player. Like, don't act like that's somebody else's player. And I think what happened in this situation was Brian Flores was coming from a background where the coach was all powerful, right? And the coach made the draft picks, and no player was coming into the building without the coach's approval. And in this case, I think that he was on the other side of it, where he was the Justin Herbert guy in that building, and they wound up taking Tua over Justin Herbert. And it's not like that was an unsuccessful program in Miami. He won 19 games his last 2 years there. Mm-hmm. Mike McDaniels won 20 the last 2 years. So it wasn't like a complete dumpster fire in Miami, the way we just talked about what happened in Detroit, right? I just think players know when you don't have when a coach has his back and when a coach doesn't have his back, right? Players know that. And in this situation, I think Tua felt like Flo did not have his back. And I think that's on I think as tough and demanding a program as you have, that's on the coach to manage those sorts of relationships. And I think, in a way, all those relationships cannot be the same. And Bill was able to pull that off. But in a lot of cases, you have to tailor those relationships to the individual player. And I think that's one thing that Nick Saban is actually pretty effective with.
Really?
And knowing what players – he's got a tough, demanding program, but he can tailor his program – to certain players, knowing who to push and knowing who to pull. This is something I'll give. Just this discussion made me think about what happened with Houston and C.J. Stroud. They were not taking C.J. Stroud 2-3 weeks ahead of that draft. And the reason why is the offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, went in and got after C.J. in the 30 visit. And C.J. sort of shut down, and it was a disaster. The meeting was not good. So CJ leaves after his 30 visit, and I remember hearing, this is why I didn't put CJ in my mock draft to Houston at number 2 overall that year, because I had heard this story. Well, what I didn't know is that Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans circled back with Ryan Day at Ohio State, and they talked to him about what CJ's experience was. And Ryan basically said to them, look, this is a kid whose dad was incarcerated. He's been through a lot in his life. He's not going to react to some football coach he doesn't know yelling at him. Mm-hmm. He's just not going to react to that. Mm-hmm. So you have to deal with him differently. And to the credit of Nick Caserio, D'Amico Ryans, Bobby Slowick, they went back and they did more research and they kept digging. And that not only led them to take C.J. Stroud, that also informed the way they coached C.J. Stroud on the other end of it. And look what ended up happening, right? And that's what I mean when I say you've got to tailor it to the individual guy. Yeah. Some guys still react to the hard coaching, but not everybody does. And so, I think part of it with Brian Flores and part of the learning is, there are certain guys who you have to coach a different way, and Tua is one of those. And, it's a different environment than it used to be. You know what I mean? It's just things are a little different where not everyone is going to respond. And Bill had a way where Bill was able to coach everybody that way. In the background, I think Bill did some things that allowed him to manage it. And I think it's another example of, some of the guys who coached for Bill not seeing everything that Bill did.
Why did Brian Flores have so much content? Is that Brian Flores is a defensive guy? This is the starting quarterback. Is it it seems to me that this is more egregious on Brian Flores' part
Well,
because he's not an offensive coach, and like, why are you even like bothering with this crap?
Well, think about how Tom Brady was coached by Bill Belichick. The Foxborough High stuff.
Yeah, I know, but
the constant. I mean, that's where Flo is from. That's where he learned how to do it.
Right,
Yeah,
but you have to realize that Brady is a very unique, competitive personality.
Right,
that
but
you're
if you
just,
saw it work with Tom Brady, it's like, if it's good enough for Brady, it's good enough for Tua.
Another defensive-minded head coach
again,
brought up under Belichick. It's like, well, that's how my defensive-minded head coach worked with his quarterback. That's how I'm going to work with Tua.
And again, I think
why is he working with him at all? Like, is what my question is.
Well, I think for the reason that Bert just said, maybe if he was not working on him with footwork, but he's still going to have conversations with him, and in those conversations, he treated him the way he thought you're supposed to, the way he saw Bill treat Tom.
Right, and
it's like kids watch their parents and they mimic the behavior.
And
I hope not.
It's like, but it's
So
just,
do I.
it's. I mean, like in a way, it relates to that thing we just talked about the hill. You know what I mean? Like, it does.
I was thinking about the hill when you were talking
It
about
does.
right.
It does relate to it because it's like, if that's what you know, and if Bill hasn't let you see all of what he does, because there's stuff with Bill that was very proprietary, which is why the organization was siloed off in certain ways. And like, if you worked here, one of the disadvantages the people who came up here had is that they didn't get to see everything the way that, like, say the Shanahan coaches all got to see everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get to see everything. Well, you're gonna take what you did see, and what you did see was Bill being tough on people, and what you did see was the hill, and what you did, so you're gonna take what you saw with you, and that's why I think, like, for Brian Flores, it's so valuable. He got to the year with Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, and now he's getting to work with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. I think Brian Flores can be fantastic the second time around.
I was just going to ask you about that. Obviously, he's a coordinator. The players play for him. Before his press conference in Minnesota, you had two guys with their arms folded standing next to him.
And seriously, ask Devin McCourty about him. Ask Kyle Van Noy about him.
No, we're not going to ask Kyle Van Noy about him.
Ask Dante Hightower about him.
Fair.
Right? Like, ask Stephon Gilmore about him.
But is that job nearby, or do NFL executives need another year or two of him getting some distance?
No, I think it's going to take a little while because he's a defensive coach. Like, and I think that's part of it. And the lawsuit probably plays into it too, where for some owners it's going to be a non-starter, right? Not all, but like for some owners, like, they're going to look at that and say, no, I'm not doing that. And I think he knows, like, that was the price of doing what he did, But I think in time, like, I think they're going to win there. Like, I think and I think Kevin O'Connell already is a top 10 coach in the NFL with potential to be a top 5 coach in the NFL. So I think I really think, like, over the long term, they're going to be able to win there. And so I think he's in a good, stable situation where he'll be able to bide his time. And I think it will take a little time for him to get a second shot.
All right. Well, Bert Breer, MMQB, thanks for hanging out a little later.
No problem.
When we come back, we will have the tremendous news stories that have been cultivated by Mike and Hardy. We will be back in just a moment.
Have a great weekend, Fred.
Thank you, sir.
though, proof of something that exists in the animal kingdom, which some people say doesn't exist, Fred, and that is same-sex love.
Okay. There was a paper done by these academics that they wanted to see just how easy it was to get something published in like medical journals, and they did an academic paper thing on gay sex on dogs in dog parks in like Pennsylvania, and they made it all up. They sent it in, and it got approved.
I think those guys should be having their relations somewhere else. Doing it at a dog park is just unhygienic.
A group of quote-unquote scholars read this fake paper and then published it. So,
you're talking about the dogs were having the gay sex.
Yeah, the dogs were having the gay sex.
Okay. I misunderstood. I thought it was a Back Bay Fen situation.
Oh, no, you're allowed to do that. You just jingle your keys, and then you go, "Hey, Rob, taking some pictures?"
You know, if if someone named Ron calls into Zoe and Beetle, to this day, either Zoe or Beetle or both will say, "You taking pictures?"
Whatever they did
Hi,
to
Ron.
That's awesome.
Whatever they did to
that.
the Fens, they really destroyed it because it was such a haven for gay sex. All right, here we go.
Now, their love story made headlines around the world, but the tale of two gay penguins has come sadly to an end. Sven, one half of Sydney's famous same-sex penguin couple, has died aged 12. Sven and Magic impressed aquarium staff with how well they nurtured a fake egg. The pair of Gentoo penguins was then entrusted with the real thing, going on to raise two foster chicks. They quickly became a symbol of equality. The partnership has been included in the school syllabus and inspired a float at the Mardi Gras.
Huh. A float?
I don't know.
Hi, Ron. You taking pictures?
Let's just leave it at that. What was that again?
Hi, Ron. You taking pictures?
All he did was that.
Favorite guy.
All Adolfo had to do.
That's my favorite guy.
Here's what the Fens used to be like. All Adolfo had to do was shake his keys. We have video of it. Like shake his keys, and legit, some guy popped out from behind a tree. It's not. I'm not making it up. There's video evidence of it. And this guy was like the king of the park. And there would be a dude like roller skating like through with like a boombox. And he's like, "Hi, Ron."
But it wasn't just the keys. It was also the.
That was the guy on the roller skates.
Oh, I thought that was another signal.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was.
Okay.
He would go by and like when he saw something he liked. Like they had a whole system going on there. You shake your keys. It's like the swinger place down in the restaurant that I told you about. That is it Hingham?
Yeah.
Hingham, where you put the keys on the bar. The guy from Hingham told us you put the keys on the bar and then you sit back, especially if you have a striped shirt on.
What was the striped shirt again? Why did that make it different? You had to do both?
It meant that you were, one or the other. If you do both, then you're trying too hard.
Okay.
But if you put the kid, remember the guy called in and he said that he had put his keys in the bar like after work, and all of a sudden like people were coming up to him and he's like, "Why are they being so friendly?" And they're like, "Dude, your keys are on the bar."
Right.
You tease.
Right.
So he had to go, let the guy peg him.
If you have the if you have the striped shirt and the keys on the bar, that's the double negative. That just means you're Mormon. Leave me alone.
Yeah, that means I really don't want this. Or
The tale of two gay penguins has come sadly.
I don't know what I can do with that. To be honest with you, I'll just let that sit on
It's
its own.
redundant. Penguins are kind of gay anyway.
Well, listen, they're certainly formal. All right. Now I'll look at Danny DeVito differently every time. All right, here we are. The second story.
This next story under things you just don't see every day. No, because they're not native to the area, right? But this is actually what people saw on their drive this morning. And WSAC's Abby Lord talked with people that witnessed this hopping creature on the loose.
That's a kangaroo!
A pet kangaroo became loose due to a gate that was left open and brought excitement and shock to a neighborhood on Mud Fork Road.
All right, first of all, you live on Mud Fork Road, which is a whole situation.
Not at all surprised to find there are unregistered, non-domesticated exotic animals living someplace near Mud Fork Road.
And you would always assume these people that have the unlicensed exotic animals, where did you get the capital to procure one of these? You have to assume that's a trade situation. And the people of Mud Fork Road are notorious for the ability to barter. Like, that's a barter situation. You're not paying for – if you live on Mud Fork Road in Hillbillyville, USA, you're not paying for the kangaroo. And how do they meet the people that have the kangaroo? It's not international travels. I wonder if they keister them.
I'm looking to swap a hide-a-bed and keister the kangaroo.
Like, seriously.
Well,
you
the
get
babies are very small, Fred.
Well, it's almost like your own little pocket.
Yeah.
Like their own little sack that they go in.
Well, I'm looking to swap a hide-a-bed and a shop vac. What do you got? Kangaroo? Oh.
I had a guy in Atlanta call one time. He's like, you don't want to mess with their pouches. They're very mucusy. They're not dry like you'd think.
All right. There's a place in Texas right now, in Kingsbury, Texas, will sell you Romper, who is a male baby red kangaroo, for $3,400.
And then what? And then just for a life of torture.
I don't know what you do with it.
Do they check anything like before you take it? $3,400 is less than some dogs cost. And some idiots I've heard have paid for dogs.
Oh, yeah. Go try and buy yourself a mini sheepadoodle right now and see what that'll set you back $5,000 easy.
My dog was $20. Cut and ready to go. And I got every dollar's worth.
A pet kangaroo became loose due to a gate that was left open and brought excitement and shock to a neighborhood on Mud Fork Road.
It's exciting in a way. I'm thinking of...
I don't believe this guy lives on Mud Fork Road. It's exciting.
It's exciting in a way. I'm
Hey,
thinking
Ron.
of kangaroo.
That's a kangaroo.
Hey, kangaroo, get out of the road.
Someone take a picture of the kangaroo.
Hi, Ron.
Hi, Ron. Oh, my stars. Oh, my gay stars.
It's exciting in a way. I'm thinking of kangaroo would be in an area like this, and the first thing you think of is Australia. So, it's kind of exciting.
A 6-foot tan kangaroo joined the owners as a baby after being in a petting zoo, and the owner says he is friendly.
Well, it's one of the oddest things I've seen. I didn't necessarily initially believe what I was hearing when I heard it on the radio, but I think a lot of the community was fairly shocked to see a kangaroo in their neighborhood.
One of the oddest things I've seen since the Timmons boys smoked that synthetic marijuana, and then he showed up at the police station, and that was a former Patriots player. Sorry.
Oh yeah, so that was Chandler Jones.
Showed up naked talking about dinosaurs. I ain't seen anything that weird in a spell.
I wonder how many times this man has been hit in the head, because his pattern of speech is very, very delayed.
A lot of the community was fairly shocked to see a kangaroo in their neighborhood.
A lot of the community was fairly shocked. The dribble on the wheel in his head is really like going through molasses.
If you had to guess what state this is in.
Mud Fork?
Yeah. It's towards the East Coast. But
South Carolina.
No, further north.
It is in north of South Carolina.
Think of Hicksville,
Tennessee.
Oh, you're close.
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah,
That's
West
correct.
Virginia.
It's exciting in a way.
There's so many. Are they positive this is a kangaroo and not some mutation from the Appalachians?
That's the thing. No one can be.
Man,
sure.
we bred all crazy like, and this thing came hopping out.
I thought it was one of them Australian creatures, but then it started picking a banjo.
I mean, I swear Mary was pregnant from me, but then this crazy bastard hop out of her going crazy. Oh, no, that's no kangaroo. That's Billy. He just don't know how to walk right. Yeah, don't bother. The third eye don't work. It's just an extra. He's got an extra lot of stuff and some missing stuff, too. I don't know. I can't count how many fingers he has, but more is on one than the other. When we got an odd number of barrels of moonshine, we use old Ricky over here.
It's just one of them no account Wilkins clan.
Yeah, I mean they got
a mess of kids. Ain't none of them worth a squirt of piss.
Yeah, during the last storm, all hell broke loose 9 months later. All kinds of stuff started coming out of that house. They were trapped in there for a week, and then 9 months later, there was all this crazy nonsense. One thing could fly. Whoa. Yeah.
Really?
It had wings.
Game on.
And it came out flying, too. It didn't even need to learn. Instinct is what it had. So I shot it. Oh, you want to see it? Yeah, sure. It's buried right back there. Now you are too. Goo. You don't want your car to break down around here. We ain't evil, but we kill.
West Virginia is one of 3 states that allow kangaroos to be pets without any restrictions.
Shocking.
Yeah.
I did not see that one coming.
That was the first law that they made. Nothing's off limits. Because then we start getting into what's considered human. And in West Virginia, that's a very, very gray area.
West Virginia is one of 3 states with no laws. Carolyn?
Unless it comes to women's rights.
That's astonishing. It is. That's unbelievable.
They're legal? I did not know that. Oh my gosh. That's actually pretty cool. Now I want a kangaroo now.
Officials say if you see a kangaroo on the road, you should slow down, stay alert, and call for help.
Don't hit it.
Really?
And don't shoot it. Wink, wink. I'll tell you what, that kangaroo head would look mighty nice in the kitchen. You eat them sons of bitches? Yeah, it tastes just like squirrel. All right, and finally, as we continue this news story, the news stories.
Yes, finally.
Gay penguins, kangaroos loose.
Finally, a mayor in a little bit of trouble, and maybe overstepping his boundaries when it comes to the local penal system.
Okay, here we go.
The GBI arrested Thompson Mayor Benji Cranford after he was accused of giving alcohol to inmates. He is now charged with furnishing prohibited items to inmates in criminal attempt to commit a felony.
Okay, so the people were in jail. He was giving them alcohol.
The mayor was giving alcohol to people in jail. How was he accomplishing this? Was he sneaking it in like Karen and Goodfellas? Did he wear just a big coat and bring in bottles of scotch? What was he doing?
Yeah, this is the mayor. This is a very Mayberry situation. This is, there's the town drunk, and then there's the mayor just with the keys rolling them around his finger.
The Honorable Benji Cranford. This is Benjamin Cranford.
We caught up with Mayor Cranford as he was leaving the McDuffie County Jail after being booked there.
Y'all boys ready?
Back on.
Oh, wow. Well said.
This guy's the mayor.
Glad
they can't keep me. I got the key. Well, what are you doing out of the jail? I have the key. It's how I got the alcohol in here in the first place.
Well, Otis had one. He just reached around outside his jail cell and took it off the wall, and then he handed it to me.
Yeah, he just locked himself on the account. He don't go crazy on his missus.
Y'all boys ready?
That is the language that the mayor speaks.
Back on June 6th, the Thompson Police Department asked the GBI to conduct an investigation into Cranford.
What is the GBI?
That's the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
Yeah. It comes with the toothpick that you have to have in your mouth all the time.
The Georgia BI.
GBI. Sounds like a medical procedure.
He'd been accused of giving alcohol to inmates on a work detail within the city limits 2 days earlier. A grand jury indicted the mayor today. The city released a statement saying,
"Hearing this kind of just blew my mind. Like, it's wild. And I just feel like it's a shocker. You know what I mean? Like the world every day you hear about this stuff and you don't think it would happen in your town, but here it is.
I just hope it's not true."
All right. Well, listen, the mayor's getting arrested for kicking ass.
Mayor Cranford allegedly drove to Rimpey's, which is a store, and purchased a 750 milliliter bottle of Seagram's Extra Dry Gin. He then put the bottle in a ditch along Cobham Road in the path of prisoners' work detail, according to his indictment on August 14th.
Well, if I'm out in the Georgia sun and you're giving me liquor, what I want is a nice bottle of dry gin. Could you make anything worse? Just chug this handle of gin. If you gave me the opportunity, if I was outside and you were putting a bottle of liquor in a ditch, gin would be maybe my last choice.
Mayor, we need some ice cubes and some tonic.
Yeah, exactly. It's too much.
This isn't even refreshing.
No, this is not at all. This is very dry. It's drying me out.
How about a lime?
All right, so we'll be back in just a moment. It is the end of the road for one of our own. We will address that. Plus, where does the Patriots defense rank in the NFL going into the season? We will have all that for you coming right up here, the headlines.
Sports Hub Headlines.
Patriots are without top left tackle Vidarian Lowe, Josh Uche, and Hunter Henry, among others, at practice yesterday as they continue to work towards their final preseason game of the summer. It's on the road against the Washington Commanders on Sunday night. Boston Globe is reporting Vidarian Lowe has a minor oblique injury that is not expected to keep him out long term. The next practice is at 11 a.m. this morning. Red Sox, Kansas City, and Minnesota all had last night off, so the Red Sox are still 3.5 games out of a playoff spot. The regular season ends 5 weeks from Sunday. Closer to now, the Red Sox will host the Arizona Diamondbacks at Fenway Park tonight. And Aaron Judge did it again last night. He hit homer number 48. Yankees beat Cleveland 6-0. Judge holds the American League record with 62 homers in one season. He is now on pace for 61 this year. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Vision. Go where Gerard Mayo went for his LASIK surgery and visit the eye pros at Boston Vision. Book a free evaluation today at bostonvision.com because your best vision is Boston Vision. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9 o'clock. keeping Barmore and Judon than I am worried about losing Belichick in this instance. Yes.
Right.
It's an overall talent drain. It's not just because they lost Belichick on the defensive end.
Yeah, I believe Mayo will be able to oversee the defense.
Yeah, he's not clueless when it comes to this.
Yeah, I mean, he was around during all of that.
Man's played on that side of the ball. I'm thinking, he's been a de facto defensive assistant. I'm thinking they're going to be okay.
Yeah, I'm expecting the Patriots defense to be all right. Like, to keep them in some games, to keep things at least a little interesting. I mean, if their defense is really 19th, they're going to have the first pick in the draft next year.
Yes.
If their defense is 19th,
they're winning
their offense is
2
gonna be the
games.
worst.
Yes, they'll finish 2-15. Yes.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you're lucky. All right. So there you go.
Worst defense, just since we have it here?
Oh, you want to see the worst defense? I can tell you right now. And the worst defense
See, I didn't look.
What do you think? Who do you think it is? They're both bad teams, 31 and 32.
All right, so that means Carolina, Washington.
It's 31. They traded edge defender Brian Burns and linebacker Frankie Luvo walk in free agency.
Okay.
Yeah, you understand?
Sure.
All right. Who is the 32nd? The last in
Washington?
No. It is the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
The hipsters will tell you this defense did a lot of cool stuff schematically last season. The nerds will tell you that this was the worst defense in the NFL. So what needs to happen for all of us is to sit down, look at some spreadsheets together, have a couple PBRs, and find a middle ground. He says that the Arizona Cardinals are the worst defense in football. All right. Today is a sad day. I've been delaying doing this because it's very difficult for me.
Hey there. It's Isaac.
I went to Hofstra University. The people wanted to hear from me. I did a fireside chat. I was asked to broadcast from the Hofstra radio station. When I got in, I was greeted by a group of fawning fans, Hofstra students. Security ushered me through them. The mobs of people pushing. I took my seat behind the microphone, and for 4 hours I let these kids, as they say in their parlance, watch me cook. So while I was doing that, I mean, once they got their jaws off the floor, they were able to communicate to me, this can't be it, Fred, Mr. Toucher. This can't be it. How do I keep this lesson going, this lesson in radio, this lesson in sports, this lesson in life?
Well, Fred, you're leaving out one important detail. Not everybody was brave enough to approach you. One actually came up to you and said,
Hey there. Hi, I'm Isaac.
He did say, hi, I'm Isaac.
Hi, I'm Isaac.
And his name is Isaac.
Say my name.
It's Isaac.
Hey there.
Hi, Isaac.
Hi, I'm...
Okay. Now, this is Isaac's last day, because sometimes you got to let the bird out of the nest, right, John? You got to let the bird out of the nest and see if it can fly on its own. And Isaac, this is his last day with us today. I think the audience is suffering as much as I am. But I have faith that we'll be hearing a lot from Isaac as he goes on to do bigger and better things than here.
Yeah, well, as has become our custom on this show, we have given the interns a couple of tasks. Of course, with Tyler Milliken's cousin, I
need you to take the bet off. Okay, there you go.
It only goes on for 4 more minutes.
All right, very good.
The theme from Shaft. I don't know.
I understand. All right, so what were you saying?
We gave them some tasks, and one of the tasks we gave to Isaac was to create a commercial for Dan the Wagon Man. It was a much different vibe than what Tyler Milliken's cousin provided.
Because it was Tyler Milliken's cousin was all doing voices and stuff. Isaac just wanted the information out there. He was looking to help Dan.
Not only that, but he's got the pipes. He's got a soothing set of pipes that seem to be suited for, a different style, really a different format altogether.
The following NPR program is brought to you thanks to the generous support of this sponsor.
Make your beach days more convenient this summer with Dan the Wagon Man at York Beach. To find out more about the best wagons at York Beach, head to danthewagonman.com.
And I think that is...
Isaac, get your ass in here.
That is
Isaac,
probably
get in here.
where this kid is going to make his bones as the soothing, dulcet tones of
NPR podcast programming.
Just a top-notch quality voiceover, a voice you can trust, a voice that you would allow into your home.
Okay.
A prairie home companion.
Listen, Isaac is the nation's companion. Hello, Isaac.
Hi, how are you?
We're very good. Now, Hardy.
Hey there.
Okay, Isaac is here in the flesh. Now, Hardy, there is something prepared. Isaac has done something for us.
You mean Isaac Brendel?
Yep, that's me.
Yeah, he is. Well, I think maybe giving us a clue as to what's coming next for you, Isaac, because in this multimedia landscape that we now live in, it's not just radio. It could be podcasting. It could be writing. And as we've now seen with the likes of Chick-fil-A, it could be some kind of a streaming apparatus where you're actually putting together video productions. Am I to believe that Isaac is working on a movie?
In a town called Brookline lives the most diabolical, devilish, fiendish tale of revenge ever told.
In middle school, during recess on the playground.
Ew, there's Isaac. Let's throw a rock at him.
She threw a rock at me. Threw a rock at me.
Threw a rock at me? Threw a rock at me?
And at my high school, a couple years later, there was a restaurant in the school. I was the cashier.
Ugh, look who's behind the cash register. I don't like him. We have such a dicey past.
We just didn't get along. Dicey past. I could not stand her. She could not stand me. Very dicey past.
Give me an iced coffee with cream and sugar.
Purposely made the coffee the wrong way. A lot of cream and sugar.
A lot of cream.
Entire cup.
With ice.
With ice. So little coffee.
Gross. Disgusting.
Isaac, the Iceman.
A lot of cream and sugar.
Ice.
Coming to a theater near you.
I didn't mean Mike threw you under the bus. I mean, he's exposing your coffee story again, Isaac. Isaac, if you don't know, worked at the high school convenience store or cafe. This lady, they had a dicey past, as you heard. She said, "Can I have an iced coffee?" And Isaac made it
with cream and sugar.
And you made it all wrong, right?
Yeah. Oh, completely wrong. Completely botched it.
Just a lot of cream and a lot of sugar.
Right?
That's right.
And a lot of ice.
Well, Isaac, you got another hour on the show, and you're doing a great job answering the phones. If you want to talk to Isaac, just call in and give him some advice.
Oh, yeah.
Isaac, what have you learned? You gave us beautiful cards. What have you learned? I haven't opened the card yet, but what did you learn? What have you learned so far?
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, for being a great mentor. It's been a dream to work here since growing up listening to the show, so it's been great. But truly just learning what industry standard really means, and it's been great to learn from everyone. I want to thank Nick Gemelli, not here today, and Mike's back there. So, just truly learning what industry standard means, and it's been great to learn from you and Hardy.
Yeah, what did it mean to have Fred Toucher as a mentor?
I want to know what industry standard means.
It means this is the top of the industry.
I don't know. I would rather have him answer.
Saying that the tastemaker.
Are you doing for him, or are you mentoring so that he can actually answer these questions for himself?
I'll handle Isaac, dumbass. You get your own Isaac.
You leave the Iceman alone.
I did have my own Isaac for a time. He used to peek his head in and look at you in the studio.
You taught him that? Isaac, don't be
ever.
like the creepy kid that put his head in the studio. So, Isaac, what was it like to have Fred Toucher as a mentor?
It was great. It was great. A lot of great memories. And
Name one.
I mean, I think that the one I still laugh at today, I think, was the first day with the guy with the ponytail.
That was at Hofstra.
That was at Hofstra, yeah.
That doesn't count. During this internship.
It does count. Isaac, you get to participate in the meetings. You get to see how the sausage is made. You know, Isaac? Yeah, you keep that attitude. You heard it.
Isaac Brendel, motherfucking Brendel.
Hi.
All right, Isaac. Thank you. Thank you, Isaac.
Thanks. Great job, Isaac.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
And thank you for the beautiful cards. And thank you for the fragrance of cologne, as you are a very good-smelling man.
My name is Isaac Brendel. Say my name. Isaac.
All right, Isaac. You can get back there and answer the phones again.
Good luck.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you. There
Thank
you
you.
go.
Thank you.
There you have it. There's Isaac.
Say my name. Say my name. Isaac.
I think that Iceman nickname's going to stick.
I do too. I mean, Killer Kowalski, these names stick.
Isaac is the Iceman.
Yeah. The Night Stalker. These things stick.
He's the new I-Man.
Exactly. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Chris Mason is at every Patriots practice. He's going to talk to us.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Practice again yesterday with their third and final preseason game coming up on the road against the Washington Commanders Sunday night. They were without starting left tackle Vidarian Lowe. The Boston Globe is reporting that Lowe has a minor oblique injury and is not expected to be a long-term thing. On offense, Alex Van Pelt has a very clear path laid out for rookie quarterback Drake May to become the starter.
I mean, you just operate the offense, understand the issues, and have the answers for the issues that arise.
The team will be back out of practice at 11 a.m. this morning. Getting back to the Commanders, they made a trade yesterday involving a wide receiver. They sent former first-round draft pick Jahan Dotson and a fifth-round pick to Philadelphia for a third-round selection and a pair of seventh-rounders. Kansas City has made Creed Humphrey the top-paid center in the NFL. They signed him to a 4-year, $72 million extension. The New York Jets have announced they will bench all of their starters, including Aaron Rodgers, for their final preseason game. That's tomorrow night against the New York Giants. Red Sox had last night off. They're still 3.5 games out of a playoff spot. They host Arizona tonight. Brian Bayo will start, and Seattle has fired manager Scott Service. Special assistant Dan Wilson is his replacement. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by 128 Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric, company that finishes every job strong. If your home or business has a plumbing, HVAC, electrical, or drain issue that can't wait, you need to call 128 now at 888-CALL-128. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Boston, the greatest sports town in America.
We have a farm. I have about 200 pigs here.
We get to spill beers on each other without worrying about spilling beers on people.
Boston's home for sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. On the air, online, on the air. This is how Boston sports fans start their day. Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and subscribe. Jesus, subscribe. Please. Please. We're dying over here. Chris Mason is the Patriots beat writer for MassLive.com. He joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Chris, hello.
What's going on, gentlemen? How we doing?
Fantastic. You know, it's a Friday. We're working for the weekend right now, Chris. I'm telling you. I'm being honest with you. But, Chris, your week has just begun because the Patriots play Sunday night. And what was the deal with Drake May in the situations he was put into yesterday when you saw practice?
So he's getting a couple snaps behind the first offensive line now. They're really quick cameos where they're in 11-on-11 periods. He's getting 2 reps, maybe 3 reps, and then he's switching back out. Yesterday was the first day all summer that they actually let him throw behind the first offensive line, where Wednesday was the first day he was behind them at all, and yesterday was the first day he actually threw a couple passes. But they're still bringing him along really slowly.
Okay, where do you think he's going to play Sunday night?
I do, yeah. I think he'll play a pretty decent amount Sunday night. But thus far, they keep saying they're kind of talking out of both sides of their mouth where they're like, it's a competition, they're competing. But then if you watch practice, it's still largely Jacoby Brissett with the ones. It doesn't look like much of a competition.
I wanted to ask you about something you wrote about Tyquan Thornton, asking, or somebody maybe asked you like in an email segment, if the hype was real about Tyquan Thornton. Has there been a lot of hype? I know Alex Van Pelt seems to like him, but from being at practice and the other people you talk to who have watched him a lot, how much excitement is there around him compared to the other receivers? And I realize that that's a pretty low bar, but
it definitely is. And I think it's a lot of internal hype at this point where his teammates are hyping him when we're talking to them. The coaching staff is hyping him. But right now, it looks like he's really the only X receiver they have on the roster, and he's kind of out there by default. And like I wrote in that mailbag, you know, you can hype Tyquan Thornton up as much as you want. Seeing is going to be believing with that guy. You know, through 2 years, there are practices where he looks great, and he has the 4.28 40-yard dash. Like, he has all these ridiculous measurables. Until he actually puts it together in a game, though, I'm not buying the hype train. Once he does that, sure, he's putting himself in a good position this summer, but he's got to show it on game day to actually, you know, add some steam to that hype train.
I think it might have been in Felger and Maz, but it made sense that maybe Jim Murray said it, that Tyquan Thornton, when they start talking up players, it means they're looking to trade them. Now, Tyquan Thornton was the second-round pick ahead of Pickens, a wide receiver who's good, who was hiding there at Georgia in front of everyone, but he had attitude problems. Do you buy into that? Do you think that this like new Tyquan Thornton talk, it might be in an effort to rid themselves of him?
I don't really think so, just because I think the other 31 general managers have access to game tape and they've seen what he's put on film, and it hasn't been great. So I don't.
Oh, so they can see him too.
Oh,
Okay,
that's right.
That's an important piece of the puzzle.
Are you positive about that, Chris? Have you been to other training camps?
They've got the film, so I think they can talk Tyquan up as much as they want, but seeing is going to be believing with him.
So who are the receivers? And I'm more interested in Polk, and I want to know how he fits into the offense. I also want to know how Javon Baker fits in. These are the players I think Patriots fans really care about.
Yeah, for sure. And to this point, I think if you want a reason to be optimistic about the Patriots offense, there aren't a whole lot, but Jaylen Polk is one where he's put together a really good summer. He's been consistent. He's good for, feels like 3 or 4 catches every day in team drills, keeps showing up. And I expect him to be a starter to open the year. I think your starting 3 receivers are probably going to be Thornton because he's kind of the only X they have right now, Pop Douglas and Jaylen Polk. And Pop Douglas has looked really good once he's gotten out there too. He just, he's your traditional slot guy. He has like a shiftiness, a quickness that no one else on the roster really has. But Polk has put together a really good summer, and I think that's one cause for optimism here.
All right. Who is the receiver that they just got? Matt Landers?
Oh, yeah. Yep, he replaced Jaquay Jackson, who went on injured reserve.
I'm just testing you.
Yeah,
he's fast.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
I'm looking at your website.
He's number 9. He wears number 9. He's tall.
Ran a 4.4 over there at the Combine in 2023, Chris.
Does he wear gloves?
Yep, he wears gloves.
Okay.
Oh, he's not old school, like Cole Strange.
Nope.
He's a guy. He's got his shoes and everything.
Chris,
Yeah, cleats. He wears cleats to the practice field.
It's good. He's going to be good.
Hey, Chris, you pass.
There we go.
I'm just reading what's on Matt's Lab. Go ahead, John.
Oh, we were just debating how good the Patriots defense is going to be and how much of a drop-off there will be defensively now that Bill Belichick is not in command of it per se. And my point was it's more of a talent drain. Losing Judon and Barmore is far more damaging to this defense than Belichick leaving is. What is your opinion on this?
Yeah, we're on the same page there. I think losing Christian Barmore is the biggest blow this defense has gotten to this point. And they're like a Devon Gottschall injury away from having a really hard time stopping the run, which isn't something I would have expected coming into the season. But that's kind of the way things have gone. So I think it's a talent issue more than anything. I think they'll still be good. I think they'll be top 10-ish, but I don't think they'll be top 5.
Okay, because there was that rankings of the defenses, and the point was made they lost the greatest defensive coach of all time, and we were kind of talking about this earlier. Like when it comes to the defense, they've lost Judon, they've lost Barmore. Their piece is missing. But beyond all that, do you think that the what?
Oh, that's just kind of what Wallace
Same
just
question
said.
I just asked.
I know, but what I'm doing is, what if Mayo can do the defense?
No, is that where you were leading? I'm
Yes.
impressed. Go right ahead.
Don't you stupid bird. Don't you ever interrupt me with a look again.
Each other.
Don't you ever look at me again. I know what's going on.
It was a minor host not listening.
No. I'm doing it. Sure, those guys are missing.
Yes.
But are you concerned, as this gentleman from the Ringer pointed out, that Belichick's the greatest defensive coach of all time, and now he's not there? How much do you think that's going to affect the defense? Not the same question.
Very
Yahtzee.
different. That was very different.
Go ahead.
I think there will be an impact, but I think you're not going to see it until games start, where one of Belichick's best attributes was he's one of the greatest, coaches of all time, making in-game adjustments and seeing what's working, seeing what's not, going into halftime and changing, That's how you see Malcolm Butler come up with the Super Bowl interceptions, because Kyle Arrington's getting burnt like toast in that game, and Bill's like, all right, put the kid in. You saw how that one ends. So I think we're going to have to wait and see until these games start playing out and, what adjustments need to be made. One thing I will say, though, is that I don't know that Gerard's just going to be a defensive coach. I don't think he's just going to be with the defense, where he's kind of been all over this place this summer. He might even have spent more time with the offense, because the offense is what needs more attention at this point, to be honest. So I think, once games start, we're going to have a much better grasp on how much Bill's absence is being felt on that side of the ball.
All right. The Joe Milton conversation has dried up rather quickly. What do you predict happens with him once we get to the final roster cut down?
I think they'll keep him on the roster just as a third quarterback, where he needs to be on the active roster to serve as the emergency third quarterback on game days that they can use. So I think he's making the team, but he's a distant third right now. And then I think Bailey Zappi's days are numbered here.
Yeah. All right. Does that concern you? Because that means if something happens to Brissett, that Mays put in a game, and I saw last year with Zach Wilson, that wasn't what the Jets wanted to do, and now Zach Wilson's the third-string quarterback in Denver. Are you concerned about not having a veteran backup for Brissett?
No, I'm not. I think Drake is far enough along that he'd be okay if pressed into that duty. I don't think it's ideal. I think they want to bring him along slowly, but he's pushed Brissett enough this summer that I think that he can serve as the backup at this point, and that they should be okay with moving on from Zappi.
Is it possible, if the Patriots wanted to do this, that Zappi could wind up on their practice squad?
He would have to re-sign on the practice squad, and at this point, I don't know why he would. Where it's one thing that happened last year, and I think he re-signed on the Patriots practice squad because they cut everybody else except for Mac Jones in the quarterback room, and he was like, "Where else in the league am I going to be the legitimate backup quarterback on a practice squad?" That just doesn't happen. But Bill cut the entire quarterback room except for Mac. So he would have to agree to that. They could try and bring him back that way. I don't know that he would want to do that at this point, given the way things have gone for him here.
Okay. And take us through a world where Joe Milton is forced into an NFL game this year.
It will be an absolute roller coaster where there are going to be some high highs where you're going to see some throws and go, "Oh my God, his arm is ridiculous." And you're going to see some plays where you're like, what were we thinking here? What's going on? Where, he's thrown some of the most impressive passes at camp and some of the worst interceptions. And that's kind of the Joe Milton experience right now.
But I think for a run-first offense, if he's a guy who somehow makes it into a game and then can make some plays with his legs, yeah, people might start to think about it.
Tim Tebow in the playoffs. It's Tim Tebow won a playoff game, baby.
Yep.
You don't have to throw the ball to be effective quarterback in the NFL. That is true.
Yeah, then what happened in the Tebow game in Foxborough? Was that 45-10?
I think it was worse.
It was a bunch of heathens. That's all I know. There's something happened in the environment. Well, Chris, excellent stuff. You knew the Matt Landers question, which is exciting to me. Everyone read his stuff on masslive.com. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
See you.
All right, thank you. Look at you two. You're so full of yourselves. You think that I'm not listening.
It was a much different question. We were wrong.
Thank you, John. You
Much
know what?
different.
You know what, John?
Not even close.
No, it wasn't.
I was being facetious.
Okay,
Of
well,
course it was the same
can't
question.
tell with you. Your inflection never changes.
It was the same question?
Just about, yes.
Just about, yeah.
I think I put a little spin on it. But what are you going to do?
You took a longer time asking it.
But that's my way.
Yes.
I get a folksy rapport going. The art of conversation, you dumbasses.
Yeah.
That's the art of conversation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You say, you set it up, you let the parameters be known, and then you let them talk. All right. When we come back, so much going on, including the award-winning email segment and so much. We will have that for you in just a moment. the animation that he does. But you know what I do to Nicholas? He asked me if I want to be a collaborator on the reel.
Yeah.
And sometimes I say yes, and sometimes I don't do it. I keep him guessing. That's how we keep it fresh, Nicholas and I. This is from Justin. You got this too, Hardy. Maybe you got it too, John. Big Booty Nicholas.
Yes.
Nick getting yelled at when he's not here.
Can you please tell Nick to do his job with the damn podcast? The volume is like 25% of what it should be. When the ads come on, it's like the second coming of Christ. I've heard this a lot.
The volume,
the levels of the podcast, which is digital, should be, they're way off apparently. Nicholas, get that fat ass behind the computer and fix this issue ASAP. John, better get those wings ready for the migration down south. Have a fantastic weekend. That's from Justin. You understand?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Ben says, I'm going to miss sweet Isaac so much. Can he have John's job when he gets the Celtics gig? Tell Isaac he has a bright future ahead of him as long as he stays kind and stops messing with innocent women and their coffee.
Oh, so much ice in that iced coffee. You devil.
Yeah, you are a devil. Mark says, GM Fred. I don't know what GM Fred means. I'm a longtime listener. I enjoyed Running the Light. That was a good read. Thank you so much for mentioning it. That's the Sam Talent book, Running the Light. I'm curious why you liked it so much, though. Did you find a lot of similarities between you and Billy Ray, who's the comedian in the book? And the answer to the Sam Talent thing is I think it's the most – I'm not like I wasn't nearly as bad as the guy in the book, but it's the most accurate depiction of of alcohol abuse that I've read in a book. And it's a fictional book. You understand that?
Yeah. Running the Light?
Running the Light.
Okay.
RC says, if I'm not mistaken, Hardy absolutely despises a fake British accent, so have at it. Is that true?
Well, it's when Zolak used to do it, and it's just cringeworthy. T-Bone's actually got a decent one, but he only does certain phrases, like when John Henry was first taking over Liverpool, and there were reporters asking him, Mr. Henry.
Oh yeah.
So he'll mimic the reporters trying to get answers out of John Henry about Liverpool, but he doesn't go on and on with it.
But T-Bone out of nowhere. I wouldn't have picked that in 100 years.
You wouldn't think he's a man of voices.
No.
All right, shush. I have another email that needs to be read.
Okay.
Just plowing through them.
Yeah, when you guys were babbling, I got this. T-Bone used to do a... No, I'm just kidding.
See, you admit it. Aha!
All right, very good. I really didn't hear your question, so my head's in another place.
We know.
Jonathan says, Slippery T, I saw you coming out of press yesterday on Needham Street.
I'm glad you interrupted us for this.
But didn't want to bother you as you were there with your daughter. Don't. She knows who her dad is. You come up, you say hello. Don't worry about it. She's used to it. You're looking swole on the test. Thank you. I've been a fan since the BCN days and have always appreciated your taste in music. So thank you, Jonathan. I do have a bit of an ear. I still listen to the Spotify playlist you put out a few years back. Yes, it's the Funk Friday playlist.
Oh,
I still listen to it, too.
Yeah.
Any chance we can get some more music suggestions / playlists? Cubba-dubba-doo. He would like me to do something like that,
Another Funk Friday list or a general type of thing?
I think it's just kind of dealer's choice. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what he's talking about.
No, shush. No mention of the Die Town with the Kendra Princess Diana Yadro clown talk yesterday. Next bit should be Kendra and Hardy tried to hit 70 miles per hour through the Sumner Tunnel. That was yesterday when we were talking about the Yadro clowns. And yes they're any chance to mention and recommend the Too Much Tuna or the Oh Hello podcast, which was seemingly about the death of Princess Diana. It's a whirlwind. It takes place during COVID. Some of it's done remotely. I believe John Mulaney was probably very, very deep into his addiction at that point, but it made for a very entertaining podcast.
Yeah, if you were going to have addiction problems, that you were going to hit him around 2020, 2021. That was a nice sweet spot. When the government says, hey, don't go outside and we're putting wood on top of rims, at basketball courts, and the only businesses that are going to be open are liquor stores. Chances are, if you were nudging yourself towards an addiction, you probably fell into it around that point.
This close I was.
Yeah. It's you wouldn't be. People backslid 16 years. Backslid during COVID.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There was nothing to do. The government was telling you can't leave your house. It was insane. Everyone realizes how insane that whole thing was now.
I had long conversations with myself about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did too. And it was keep going.
Were you really that close, Hardy?
I went so far as to like have an actual conversation with my wife about it. I'm like, you know what I thought about? Like, I thought about maybe having a Cold Core 16-ouncer, you know?
What was
There's
Marcy's
nothing
answer
else
to
to
that?
do. She kind of looked at me like, what? I'm like, yeah, crazy, right? She's like, yeah. Like, yeah.
All she would have had to do is hesitate. And you would
That's
have been.
true.
You told me
Door
that.
just opened
You
a
told me
little
that story before we had the show. You told me that story. I actually remember that story. Did your wife know you before you were sober?
Yes, and to be fair, it had like she wasn't like stop drinking or we're breaking up. It was nothing like that because as you know, Fred, the only way to do that is if you are done and if you want to. No one else, no judge, no person, no anyone else is going to force it upon you if you are not going to do it yourself. So yeah, I did it myself. But like, I think like floating that one test balloon just to see what her reaction would be. And she was like, that is, the look on her face was like, that is the craziest, dumbest thing I've ever heard you say out of 25 years of crazy and dumb things that you've said. Like, are you out of your mind? I'm like, well, right now I am a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all are a little bit out of our minds right now. But it was enough to kind of snap me back into reality and say, yeah, out of all the crazy and dumb things I've said or done, that would be the craziest and dumbest.
Yeah, again, you were not supposed to leave your house except to go to the liquor store because the liquor stores were the only things that were open.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a haven if you were ever going to fall into an addiction issue. If you made it through COVID without abusing anything, I think you're clear. Have at it, because I don't think that you're going to fall into it. I could be wrong, but if you stayed sober during COVID or you drank responsibly or did drugs responsibly during COVID, chances are you can handle it. That's my advice, because it was a real test, thanks to the human spirit. Shush, shush.
You just shushed yourself.
Shush, shush. Kyle says, I love that. I think I'm going to do that every email segment now.
Yeah.
Shush.
Let's see how that works out.
Just during the email segment, Kyle says, Freddie T, hope all is well. Love the show as always. You, Fred, are the driving force, dare I say, the pulse of the Sports Hub. That's shared by management and corporate
Very
as well.
weak, thready pulse.
I looked swollen, pressed. I'm working out. Keep it up.
Swollen.
No, I'm not as much.
Yeah, like
not
a
as
tick.
much. Not as much as I used to be. Keep it up. I'm just fat now, not obese. I'll be going to the St. Anthony's Feast on Sunday, and I'm wondering if there's somewhere specific I need to go to indulge in some sweet and spicy meatballs from the legend himself, Mark Gemelli. Maybe share a Manhattan and have a good weekend, Fred. That's Kyle with the mullet. And I will tell you this, is that Nick is on, like, him and his father, I don't know what the situation is with the two of them. We're still down with Mark Gemelli.
Yeah.
But Nick is still down with Mark Gemelli, but there's a bit of a conversation. I don't want to get in the middle of the.
There seems to be a distance.
Just a slight distance. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to care to partake in it. But if you're wondering why St. Anthony's Feast is coming up and Mark Gemelli hasn't been on the air, I don't want to insert myself. There are personal lives that people have.
It's been a while since we've
My
talked.
name's Mark,
It's been a while since we've spoken to Mark Gemelli.
Yeah.
and I'll make meatballs.
I love Mark Gemelli.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly's roast beef, another one of my favorites. Jeez.
I'm like, my parents are like getting older. Like, Nick, I know how it's going. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, how old's your dad? He's like 65. I'm like, okay. It's a bit of an age gap between him and my parents.
Here's an email from Ben Hardy. I'm growing concern of your recent favoritism from Sarah and Everett. I too could spam you, blah, blah, blah. All right, here's an email from Sarah in Everett. She says, I walk a dog in Newton. I've seen Fred a couple times while there. He creepily was checking me out one day, and I recognized his boobies from 2 blocks away.
Whoa.
I don't know if I believe that,
That's
Sarah.
not right.
I don't think I believe
That's not true at all.
Is Sarah attractive?
I don't know.
Oh, you never seen her?
No.
She just walks a dog randomly in Newton?
I believe she is a professional dog walker.
And Sarah, so you say Sarah from Newton, who listens to the show this much, that emails you literally every day, probably more than once.
Yeah.
That Sarah from Everett and I were walking down the same street, and that she did not say hello to me. I find that very.
Well, she was never a fan of yours until I joined the show. She was pretty much property of the midday show.
All right, well then, but if she was walking a dog in Newton, I haven't had the dog, but since last July, I would imagine it was this year.
She said she's seen you a couple of times.
All right, well then she's seen me a couple times and never has come up to me. Sarah from Everett, you're a liar.
Sarah, next time you see Fred, introduce yourself.
There's no way that someone that into the station didn't say hello to me. There's no way that she.
It happened yesterday at Prest.
Not Sarah. There's people that like the show, people that really like the show, and then there's Sarah from Everett up here in the clouds where it's like kind of creepy.
I don't know that she likes you.
It doesn't matter. I'm a part of her life.
That's right.
Like I'm a part of her life that she interacts with.
You make a good point. Maybe she just doesn't like you at all.
Then she would be more apt to come up to me.
Why is that?
To like give me the what for.
Maybe she's not confrontational. I mean, this woman is a professional dog walker. She's operating on a different plane than you.
Well, that probably is true. I mean
she's got other dogs to worry about, probably more than one.
I'm going to say that and I was creepily checking her out. You're saying there was an attractive woman walking down the street in Newton? Okay. I probably was then. It was like finding the...
How often does that happen?
Find the Ark of the Covenant.
Compared to Brookline, where do you see more attractive people?
It depends. If you like a look of disgust when you've done nothing, Brookline is beautiful. A look of contempt.
If you get turned on by that.
Yeah, if you get turned on by people really just having this look of abject contempt for you, for whatever you're doing, they're not a fan. You look no further than Brookline. Newton's a tiny bit friendlier. I'm just kidding. I'm sure there's attractive women in Newton. But I don't think I've... What color hair is Sarah from Everett?
I don't know. I've never seen her.
Really? She's never sent a picture or anything?
The one photo I've ever seen of from Sarah and Everett was the one that she sent to prove that she was at a prom with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
Google Sarah from Everett. And
I'm off the edibles now. I'm good.
Yeah, she's an edible lady. All right. There you go. John, you got anything? No?
Usually what I get is a bunch of this. This from Christopher. When someone flips you the bird, do you take that as a compliment?
Oh, because you're a bird.
Yeah.
Shush. Shush, shush. Shh.
Will you shut your mouth? Just shut your mouth.
Shh.
Shut.
When was the last time you shush someone in real life? Shush.
Oh, I still do it to my kids. My 17-year-old daughter loves it.
Oh.
She's a big fan of when I say, shush!
See, the only time I do anything like that is when they're screaming, and then I go, shut up! That's what I do. You want to hear from Jared from Taunton? He's called in 97,950 times.
No, he hasn't.
1,167 recent. If you think I can put numbers together like that, Hardy, you have a higher opinion of me than is deserved. Jared, go ahead. I have no idea. Isaac didn't put it in. He's glided into his school year. Go ahead. What do you want, Jared? Go.
Oh, it's Sarah from Everett.
Oh, yeah. Sarah, where are you?
I'm actually on a train. I'm sorry if it's a bad connection. Can we just squash this? You're making me sound like a creepy drug addict. I'm not.
Whoa. I've never inferred you were a drug addict at all. That's true. And the creepy thing is that you act like you're having conversations with me when we're not talking. Now that we're talking. But let's get over that. Fine, it's a squash. Let's move on. All right, so Sarah.
No. Can I apologize for that email? It was on the Wednesday. But the beginning of it, I had called in after Game 5 because I had attended the night before.
Sarah, that's fine. I don't even remember the email. But Sarah, here's the deal. Have you seen me in Newton?
Yes. Yeah.
Where was I?
I'm not going to say because
Just
it's
say.
the street my client lives on.
Oh, who cares? Just say the street. Just where around where? What part of town?
Up by the Good Day school around Calumet Street.
What part of Newton is that in?
The good part, really nice part. But I did see you, and I'm not like.
When did you see me?
With,
when did you see me?
I would say it was about 3 months ago.
Okay.
And like 6 months before that. Yeah.
All right, 6 months before that, whatever. But 3 months ago, I was checking you out.
Yeah. I was coming up the street with the dog, and you were standing on the corner, and you were just like, we're in a deep stare.
Really?
So,
I was longingly looking at you?
You were checking out my body. Yeah. I'm in great shape. I walk 11 miles a day.
Really?
I'm in good shape.
Did you feel like a vibration between the two of us?
No. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come up to you because I talk with the show, and I just thought that
if I was looking at you, Sarah, that's an invitation. That's a physical cue to come up and say your piece.
Next time, I'm going to be out in Newton today. Maybe we'll run into each other.
Hey, maybe we will, Sarah. But I got to save it. So listen, I don't have it for everyone.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say it. I listen to the show.
Yeah.
I can't listen to radio.
That's right.
Like songs when I'm walking.
Right. Of course.
So I listen to talk radio, and that's why I'm so involved.
I like the explanation.
Shush. She's explaining her radio
All
listening.
right, thank you,
habits.
Sarah. Next time you see me, say hello. Will you do that?
I guess. Okay, I will.
Okay.
All right, Sarah.
Bye,
there
Sarah.
you go.
All right,
Bye.
guys. Have a great weekend and a good vacation. Bye.
Bye. I've never walked the dog by day. Did she say day school? By day middle school?
I can't. I've only been to your place once, and I don't want to say what street you live on right now. But I think the street she mentioned runs parallel to your street.
Oh, then she did see me, and I was texting and staring at her.
Interesting.
Creepy.
Hey.
What's allowed? What's not allowed? Maybe I was just smiling and being a friendly neighbor, and she took it the wrong way. Or maybe I was devouring her with my eyes. We'll never know.
Deep stare.
I mean, Sarah, after all, has a very good body. She walks 11 miles a day. Who knows?
What's the name of the dog park you go to?
That's in. I go to Cold Springs Park. Cold Springs, but it wouldn't be like a street. Cold Springs Park's the woods. I don't take. That's the only one I've ever taken Deuce to.
I don't know what you're doing. Taking that dog to the woods. You are creepy.
Well, that's where we kill stuff. Duh. What do you think I'm training the dog for? That's where we hunt man. All right. We'll be. I mean, and when I'm talking Cold Springs Park, I mean that's a real woods.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, miles and miles and miles of woods. All right. We'll be back in just
Newton. Yes.
In Newton, yes. It's it's city land that they haven't sold off. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. called rising and grinding.
Start your
Got
day.
your finger on the pulse, Fred.
Begin your
Seldom
day
right and never wrong.
right here. Is that Toucher or is that Hardy?
I know, looks like a poodle. It's an effing poodle, dumbass.
The Sports Hub. We know what you're thinking. What could I possibly have missed from the show? It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. The Stack is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And the Stack is also brought to you by Best Ford in Nashua. Looking for great deals on new Fords? Go to the Best First. Best Ford in Nashua. Head to thebestford.com. What do you got, Hardy? As we
The school, Miami of Ohio, has come up like 3 times in my life recently. My daughter has mentioned it as a school she's interested in.
It's in beautiful Findlay, Ohio, between Dayton and Cincinnati, I believe.
I guessed it as a question you were asking today, and I have no idea what conference they're in.
MAC.
Are they in the? So my
Yeah.
guess was a pretty good one earlier.
Yeah.
When I guessed Miami of Ohio.
Yep.
Okay, I was right. And now Mike Lockhart has alerted me to a controversy taking place at Miami of Ohio, and their head coach Chuck Martin, who is accusing another school from another conference of theft of a player. If I could have my news boss here.
Controversy.
Thank you.
All right, special teams lost your kicker, Carter McLaughlin.
We didn't lose him. He's at Alabama. We know
Yeah,
exactly.
I understand
We know
that.
exactly where he's at. Like, you media people, it's all pretend. Like, no, Alabama stole our kicker.
Yes, they did.
They illegally recruited
I didn't want to say it,
They
Coach.
illegally recruited our kicker and stole him from us. And like that's a fact. But that's college. But we act like it's not. We live in this la la world. Like, hey, let's not talk. I don't know why
Here we
everybody knows
go.
what's going on. So, yeah, Alabama stole our kicker. A couple other schools tried to steal it, but then okay, what's the question?
Yeah.
Amphetamines.
You got to know that if you're going to coach Miami, Ohio, you're going to have to face the press. And they're notorious. The Dayton press.
You media.
The Dayton, Ohio press they're scoundrels. I mean, the pressure cook you're under, the amount of eyes on you is really hard to manage.
All right, special teams lost your kicker, Carter McLaughlin.
We didn't lose him. He's at Alabama. We know
Yeah, I
exactly.
understand
We know
that.
exactly where he's at. Like, you media people, it's all pretend. Like, no.
Yeah.
You media people.
That's right.
Yeah, you media people always coming at me. Always coming at me. All the paparazzi. The acceptance rate of Miami, Ohio. Anyone want to take a guess?
88%.
Did you just look it up?
No.
It's 88%.
Was it really?
Yeah.
How about that? How could I have looked it up in the 4 seconds it would have taken me to answer that question?
I guess you couldn't have, but I mean, it's a valid question if you got it right on the nose. I mean, that's like you had a 1 in 100 chance of getting that right.
88%.
That surprises me that my daughter mentioned it, because most of the schools she mentions, like, she may have been doing this to troll me a little bit, but she said something about Michigan, and I immediately said, number 1, no, and number 2, you're not getting in there. What are we having the conversation for?
Yeah, I'm right. It is between Dayton and Cincinnati. If you take I-75, you see signs for it, but it's not even. It's on the Ohio-Indiana border. It's really in a.
Oh boy!
And by the way, just so I don't get in trouble at home, my daughter does very well in school, AP class, all that stuff. But who gets into Michigan anymore? I mean, like.
Oh, a public university that's that good? Yeah, it's like impossible. It's like Harvard.
Yeah, I mean, if you're coming from out of the country and you're going to pay, double what everyone else pays, I'm sure you can get in. But
right.
You're not like an out of state, like real good student with some stuff on a resume. No, that's not going to get you into U of M anymore.
Well,
that was hard to get in when I was there.
Who went to Miami of Ohio? Man by name Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, came out of that draft, first round pick out of Miami, Ohio. It can happen. You know what Celtic great went to Miami of Ohio?
Oh, I know. Oh, is that the Zerb? Is that Wally Zerbiak?
Wally Zerbiak.
Yep.
Straight out of Miami of Ohio. Straight out of Oxford. Oxford, Ohio.
There was one email, Fred, that we didn't get to earlier because you were busy shushing me.
Shush!
And if we did get to this one, I'm going to feel like a real...
Yeah.
Lower than a rattlesnake's belly. It was about the suggestion that you buy a kangaroo. Fred should buy a kangaroo and give it to Adolfo when he comes up to visit. How long do you think that would last? How would it go? And who would die first?
That's an interesting question and a valid one. Because have I told the story since you've been on the show of Adolfo watching my old dog the last 2 dogs ago? So I leave to go out of town. I live in Brighton. We go, hey, Adolfo, here's the key to the house. Like, just stay in the house and take care of our dog. We're going for 2 days. Can do. So when we come back, went somewhere with my parents.
No more.
Yeah. Done. So I went with my wife at the time and my parents, and when we came back, my dad was there. And Adolfo's like, so I had been around Adolfo for a long time, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, how was she? She's like, great. And I go, okay, well, it was so easy. It's funny, like yesterday, she didn't have to go to the bathroom at all. I go, huh? She goes, yeah. I didn't take her out. She didn't have to go. I go, you didn't take her out to go pee? No, it was great. And my dad just looks at him and goes, what the F are you talking about? And he goes, yeah, she didn't have to pee. He goes, no, what? And then seeing my dad like puzzled with this coming at him, and he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, it was just, she just didn't have to go. The dog did not have to urinate the dog was fine. Like the dog was fine, but Adolfo had decided that the day before the dog had never asked to go outside, so it never wanted to go outside.
They are a mystery, though. My dog, when she was younger, a puppy, like she'd go out the night before, first thing in the morning, and early on there would still be messes. Now there are times when if it's raining, she'll go on the front porch and say, nah, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we'll try later. And then kind of forgetting she's not bugging you at all. And then you realize, you haven't been outside for 12 hours. And she's laying on the couch. I'm like, yeah, I don't have to. I go out a lot because I want to. It's not because I have to. Telepathically have these conversations.
So I got up this morning and I came downstairs. My dog is like in the crate, and I smelled something. And I said, "Oh, all right. Well, something happened in that crate." And I look, and there it is again. Anyone care to guess? A pair of my daughter's underwear, laying in throw up.
Oh.
That my dog had again consumed
when
I was out yesterday.
Do you not have hampers in your home?
No, I have a 14-year-old daughter who the dog is obsessed with that follows her around.
Not only that, but my daughter, I believe she has 2 laundry hampers in her room, and I could not. I would put the over-under number of articles of clothing on the floor right now at 70.
Yeah. So my daughter attempts it, but even if that dog is pretty determined to eat that stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's what he wants. They'll pull it out of the hamper, I think.
Very quickly here, this is good news. Elon Musk, according to one report, hopes to implant millions of Neuralink chips into people's brains over the next decade.
As long as it plays the Rogan podcast. So I don't have to use my thumbs to get it.
The second patient to be fitted with the device was able to use it to play first-person shooter games and design 3-dimensional objects.
Why wouldn't you do? I mean, the guy designed a 3-dimensional object.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible. He made a block.
Here's the quote from Elon Musk. He wrote on X, "If all goes well, there will be hundreds of people with Neuralinks within a few years, maybe tens of thousands within 5 years, millions within 10 years."
John, why don't you get one? They've already been in there. You already got a hole.
They could just go right through the tumor hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They could get in there, lickety split. Yeah. You could play video games in your head.
That's right. It only took 9 hours the first time.
Yeah,
it'd be great.
So you know about it. It's easy.
Yeah.
You just open up a head and you just jam some stuff in there and see what goes cooking.
Do you have a little cork back there?
Yes, that's exactly what they patched it with. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean he's a billionaire after all. Let him have at it. Let him cut open your head and just have at it. Let him play with everything in there.
It's a brilliant idea.
And you know what's happened? Even if they found him guilty of 100 manslaughters, he'd live his whole life never going to jail. He just would work the government with his money until it went away. You really have to like video games, I'd say.
The same emailer who asked about Adolfo and the kangaroo wanted to know if he eats eggs for breakfast, is it considered cannibalism?
We'll have to tackle that next week. We don't have the time today. That's a big existential question. Wish me luck. All right, that'll do it for us. Everyone have a great